sorry, but I must interrupt this show. Lennard, you know what it is. Hey, Ham, it's time, baby. Low, it's time how we do. Hey. They said we said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a wheel. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you on red like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you red fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Cut you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we hit. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go.
All right. Let's get it. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome to another phenomenal episode of Behind Them Sticks with your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming here with you on the TSWS Gaming YouTube channel. And today, y'all, I got a phenomenal guest that I've been waiting to get on here for a little bit now. I've had him scheduled for near a month, I believe, at this time. Mr. PharoahJ. What's cracking? Good to see you. I love the background. I see Goku looking extra tough with his what Ultra Instinct. I believe.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I see I see the PlayStation paraphernalia there in the background.
Yeah. So you see that
all the pretty colors and whatnot.
I am not a fanboy.
You looking good, brother.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that.
All right. Well, it's good to have you here. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on this evening. I'm happy you got yourself a little something to sit because we might be here for a bit. I got myself a little something as well. You know, I had a shitty dinner today at Taco Bell, but the Baja Blast is always slap. Nice. So I definitely had to make sure to cop me one of those because I wanted to have me a little something good to drink right here. I ain't drinking no liquor tonight. Although I probably should to help my ass get to sleep because I tell you what, Pal Worlds has been a goddamn problem for your boy.
Oh, you been on it? You been on it like that,
bro? I mean, yo, it's an issue. It's an issue. Like I don't even want to look at my amount of time played, but it's tragic.
Hey man, that's what it's all about, man. Enjoying your time. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's the whole point of gaming. Or else, what are you doing? Right?
Big facts. Big facts.
But anyways, I'm here to talk to you about your history, what you have had going on, what brought you to this point. And, you know, first of all, I need you to announce yourself. Let everybody know where they can find you. I want to put it up so people can check it out and see for themselves in case they're new to who you are or your content and whatnot. I like to throw up people's I got it right here for you because I like to just show people off, let people know exactly what it looks like, what the profile looks like, what the page actually looks like. So they recognize it when they come into your space. So go on ahead, let everybody know where they can find you. You don't need to keep up with what I'm doing here in the background. Just let them know.
Yeah, no. So I'm, like I was explaining to you backstage, man, I have a very contentious relationship with social media. So I'm not in a lot of places. I'm on Twitch or Twitter or X, and I'm streaming on Twitch. The goal is to eventually start dual streaming on Twitch and YouTube, but right now we're exclusively streaming on Twitch. So X and Twitch is where I'm at right now.
Yep, there you go. There's a Twitch page. Same name as you see. Salute to
all
you.
Vibes. As you can hear that music, all vibes, baby.
Yeah. Very chill, very relaxing. I like it. I rock with it, brother. I rock with it. But anyways, I need to know now where the hell you even came from. So like let's talk about the background a little bit and whatnot. At first, I had asked you, early on, what what was like the first console that you got into? I always ask everybody that. I love opening the show with that because it's just like, let's go on ahead and bust open this coconut and get right into the, right into the juice. Right.
Right.
Let's see what it's all about. So you told me back in the green room right before the show, the Nintendo. You see all that PlayStation stuff in the background, right? But Nintendo is where it's right behind the skin in your chest, right there. It's on the heart, right?
Right.
That's what
So
got it all started. So talk about it, brother.
I most people will probably tell you they cut their teeth on Nintendo. I think all of us probably draw our earliest gaming memories back to Nintendo characters, Mario, or you know what I mean, one of those guys, Link. So it's the same with me. You know what I mean? The first Mario Brothers, the one with the duck hunt, and then the joint with the track and field pad. One of the homies in the neighborhood had the track and field joint. But that's where it all started, man. The Nintendo, playing it on a little black and white TV because we ain't had bread like that. So, we had to kind of scrape together what we had to to make it happen.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, we definitely ain't living like we are now, right? Where we can just, l- like pretty much plan our attack as we see, a game and where it's at and where it's gonna launch and how much it's gonna be. Like we can plan our attacks now. Back then, it was just like the only plan of attack was Blockbuster or like Hollywood Video or some folks had Gamefly where they'd mail you the games and stuff like that. But digital age definitely came up and times are completely different. So even if you are growing up, I mean, you got so much that you could try in comparison of what we had and at such a low price
You know
now
what though?
compared
Like for me,
kind of back then.
I can't speak for everybody, but where I lived, it was a lot of people that was within my age, probably give or take 2 or 3 years. So, and we all had different stuff. So,
Mm,
if I didn't have something, I can go to my homeboy crib and have a completely different experience. Most of my guys had Sega or Nintendo, but it was a few
I was
cats in
saying,
the
yeah.
neighborhood that had the SNES. Um, but yeah, man, like a lot of the experiences, we would go to Blockbuster like everybody else, but we would also just like trade games with each other. You know what I mean? You
Right.
go to school and be like, oh, word, you got this, I got this. Okay, let me hold that for a week. You go hold this, and that's honestly that's how a lot of my experiences were had was just trading with folks within in the neighborhood or dudes in school.
Yep, cop that, or if your parents knew each other's, sometimes you could stay over there for the night, and get it in, play all night, and
Oh yeah,
I mean,
good
I remember
times,
those
man.
days. Those days were hot,
Simpler
man.
times.
Yeah, much simpler, innocent times for sure.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but now I want to know, like, so after you kind of got your taste from the NES and got your duck hunting, got your Mario and track and field, you got your fingers all crammed up and whatnot. Um you're getting clamped up.
Yeah.
Them fingers were cramping. Um what was like the next dish or like the one that least to you console wise that like caught you side side eyeing a little bit like what they got cooking over there? What the hell's going on with that? Like, what was the next like big console that you were like, yo, I need that joint?
So, Sega Genesis holds a really special place in my heart specifically. So I talked about, coming from a certain type of, background, I guess. We ain't really have a lot of bread. Like I said, I was playing on black and white TVs, small joint, like a 13-inch. Um, so a lot of the consoles that I would get, it was secondhand. You know what I mean? My mom didn't have bread like that to get me the newest and or the latest and greatest. So luckily, I was connected to folks that were very generous. Um, and I remember one of my big homies when I was young. He actually gave me a Sega Genesis, and I remember his name and everything. I ain't gonna say it because I don't even know what's going on with him right now. But um,
You don't need to dox the home. You
yeah, no, we're not doing that. So, but
good.
yeah, he straight up gave it to me. You know what I mean? Because he knew what my situation was, and not only do I remember that, like a lot of my most favorite memories, gaming wise, I can draw back to my time in my bedroom with my two sisters playing Sega Genesis, man. So that was the one that was the one for me, really, truly.
Yo, listen, those are some emotional experiences right there. All of them, really. I mean, let's keep it a buck for a minute. Like, you ain't have it like that, but somebody seen that. Yo, if I hook up little man with one of these, it might keep him out of trouble. It might keep the parents that are in the house or whatnot able to know what their son doing,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I don't
And
even know
also,
what prompted Boy to do it, honestly. Um, I mean, it just came out of the blue, but he just straight up just handed it to me like, "Yo, yeah, I know y'all ain't got it like that. Um, so here, we lucky, like I guess like his situation was a lot better. They had a little bit of bread. They actually had a house. One of the few people that I knew when I was young that actually had a house. And yeah, man, he straight up just gave me a Sega Genesis, man.
man, man, I mean that's a little kid's dream come true, right
Big
there.
facts.
So now that you had that console, what was the first, thing that you were just like, yo, this game right here all night?
So there was quite a few. There was
Okay.
quite a few, but one game specifically, and I still have this probably in my personal all-time top 5, Streets of Rage 2. Um, and that I think that game actually kind of helped really identify my personality as a gamer. And but yeah, the music was crazy. I just remember the move sets was crazy. Um, Everything about that initial play of Streets of Rage, just specifically that first level, was just life changing. Like I knew that was one of those moments where I was like, wow, I love video games, dog, and this is gonna be part of my experience on this earth until I stop breathing.
Not a lot of games had the co-op like Streets of Rage did.
Right.
I mean, that game, if correct me if I'm wrong, that was one of the few games you could multi-tap.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if you can run 3. You could definitely. I mean, every game lets you run 2, but I
I'm
only
pretty
had
sure you could
one
have up
like
to
super
4.
duper tight homie that we played that game like crazy. But yeah, we ran that game until we couldn't run it no more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was always a skater, bro.
Mm.
I was always a skater, bro. What was it? What was his name? Axel with
Yeah,
blonde hair.
yeah. Yeah, there was Axel. He wasn't in 2. 2 had well, no, Axel was in 2. It was Adam that wasn't in 2. Um, Axel was in 2, Blaze was in 2, Max was in
Blaze, that
2,
was the
and
skater
Skate
kid.
was in
That was
2.
the skater dude. It was Blaze. That bro right there was wild with them with them blades.
Yeah, yeah. The bull skate with the rollerblades with the inline joints. Yeah, he was ill.
Yeah, that was my favorite character in that game by far. I wanted to pick that one every time.
Mhm.
He like he had that breakdance move as like his special and whatnot. And I
Yeah,
always thought that was hot.
yeah. Him and the dude Max were the new characters for Streets of Rage 2. Um, and their move sets were completely different from anything you experienced on the first game.
Right. Because the first game, a lot of it was just like basic kicks, uppercuts, and
Y Yeah.
like power kicks and stuff like that. Power uppercuts,
Yeah. Absolutely.
power punches.
Absolutely. A lot
But
of the same,
but
repetitive experiences, yes.
yeah, but them animations for that skater joint was something else back then.
Yeah, yeah.
It was hot.
I think
But
when we first
but what
played,
other
we
games?
ran the new characters, like, so I think I ran Skate, and I think he ran Max, and, yeah, we were like, "Dude, this is different right here."
What other games were you rocking though back then? Because I mean, I'm gonna flat out tell you straight up. Streets of Rage was hot to me, but the game that was like the hottest, well, there was two of them. I mean, there was a lot of them. Really, there was a lot of them that
There
were
was a
just
lot,
like
a
burning
whole
hot.
lot.
But the ones that I remember playing the most were Road Rash 2,
Road Rash was
in
incredible.
in particular, in greatest heavyweight boxing,
Okay.
where you'd have like the boxers that talk trash to you while
Yeah.
you're fighting, sucker sissy and yo mama and like stuff like that. Like, yo, that joint was nuts.
Yeah, so I would love to see Road, like, I know we gonna kinda get into, like, stuff we would like to see remade, like, later on in the interview,
Sure.
but Road Rash is one of them games that, like, come on, bro, can we get another one of those? Like, seriously.
Facts.
That was dope. Road Rash was dope. I would love to see that one get remade for
I
sure.
think they had like a game on Xbox like a long time. Like I'm talking about like OG Xbox. That was like, or maybe it was 360. I don't remember, but I thought it was like Speed Kings or Speed Demons or something like that, where it was like very similar
But it ain't
to,
Road Rash.
yeah, no, nothing was Road Rash where you had like Roz and the officers that were mad disrespectful, and you
Facts.
know, as you level up, the characters would level up too and get different bikes, and you would see them in the next, like, and remember that game, it was before like we had memory cards and whatnot. We'd have to either hope that there is a battery in the game or it have a function like Road Rash did, where it was a password that you
Yeah.
had to put in. So you had to write that joint down, right?
Write them down, yeah, yeah, I
Yep,
definitely
yep.
come
This is
from
back
the
in the day.
write
You
the
had to write
password
them
down
joints
days for sure.
down, and your mama would tell you, you got cut off the game. You need to take your ass to bed. You know, you have that password on your little notepad, on your little gaming notepad with all your other cheat codes and stuff like that. I
Yes,
remember
sir.
the Mortal Kombat cheat code ABACABB. Get over here. Blood starts dripping down the screen, right?
Yes, sir. Blood code, remember that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so we already know that Genesis was a shit. Nintendo really, I mean that was like the inception was Nintendo, but like for me, I'm not sure if it was for you, but like for me, like that, yeah, that Genesis, and I almost feel like after you telling me the story that you had and how you got it, how you know it was passed down to you from the big homie. So like that had to be like very emotional, sure, but that really opened the eyes and broadened out your whole idea of you becoming a gamer in the future. I mean, now you're talking about it in school with your friends and whatnot, even more than before, trading games, probably more than you were before. Um, but now you're maybe getting into, magazines or online starting to come out, Cheat Code Central back in the day, Cheat Planet, IGN was back, was there way back in that time and whatnot too. Game Informer magazines were out
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Tell me about the experience of kind of being more understanding of a gamer, seeing that you had played in multiple consoles at this point, and how you were kind of interacting with those that played as well.
So, the thing that is, I wouldn't say is weird, I just feel like it's just a natural sort of, um, I like occurrence, but we sort of flock to each other, like, if you go to a new situation and you play games, it's like the guys that play games will organically sort of flock together. You know what I mean? And it's always been like that. And I've been a lot of places. I've been all over the world. Dudes that press buttons like really get busy. Like we always sort of find our way to each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how it was, man. Like it wasn't like it was anything that was ever like intentional. It just kind of happened, you know. You might just be hanging out somewhere and you may like casually mention something in passing related to gaming, and then that's the catalyst. And then all of a sudden, every Saturday, you and old buddy or two other dudes is multiplayer. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So everywhere I've been, that's kind of how it happened. It wasn't like it was something that was intentional. It just organically sort of came together.
Okay, so as we were talking about previously, so obviously y'all trading games, hanging out, birthday parties were popping probably with video games and stuff like that too. I remember those times, hot moments on the couch, getting mad, passing the controller around. Yo, yeah, that was some bullshit. Let's run it back. Um, like all of that stuff kind of happening, just regular times. But as things started to kind of progress, Genesis started to kind of fade out, right? And we're and sure, I mean they got their additions like Sega CD, 32X, but then of course the next generation comes. You got the Saturn, you got the 64, and of course you got the OG PlayStation to make its debut. I want you to talk about how you I mean, let's be real. I want you to talk about how you got your way into PlayStation, because I'm trying to keep it I'm trying to keep it honest for a second and just be like, we were kids.
Yeah,
It's not like I was able to just be like, yo, moms, cop that.
absolutely. That was definitely not my life.
You know what I'm
So
saying? We had 2 times a year that we could get something, and it was usually
absolutely, yeah,
something under $100. It was
birthdays
usually
and
something
Christmas.
under $100. So it's just like copping something like a PlayStation that's just like this super kind of exquisite. I mean, let's be real, it was at that time, right? In my house, particularly, it was the grown folks console. I couldn't touch it.
Yeah,
So I want you to tell me how you weaseled your way into PlayStation early on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how we had to do
sure.
it. Is 'cause
No,
we had to slip in there.
nah, you good. So yeah, everything relative to my early experiences had a financial sort of connection to it. So PlayStation was a very expensive console, and it kind of always has been a very expensive console. And I remember the year that the PS1 dropped. I mean, I didn't even ask for it because I already knew what it was
I
when
know.
it came to Christmas gifts. But I had my first cousin, his only child. He got whatever he wanted. He lived like a couple blocks from where I live. And I remember the Christmas that the PlayStation came out, he got it, and he got like 9 or 10 games. So I spent damn near every day, uh, from Christmas on at his crib playing PlayStation, playing Tekken. Like, that's when I first experienced Tekken. That's when I first experienced, like, Crash Bandicoot and some of these other, like, first party PlayStation games. So, yeah, my first cousin, yeah, he was the guy that was the person that introduced me to PlayStation because he only a child, so his family got him everything he wanted.
So that's I knew it. I knew it. I said it exactly the way that I seen it for most of us.
Yo,
We
that
had
it
to
was like
weasel
500, I
our
think.
way
The
into.
PS1 when it first dropped, I think it was like 5. It was up there. I can't remember the exact price, but it was up there.
I thought it was like I thought it was like $2.99. I wanted to say.
I don't know, man. It was way up there. It was to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm not even gonna ask for this.
Yeah,
I
I
might
mean
get
it's an
cussed out.
unimaginable
They
price
might
for
like
a kid.
take gifts from me if I ask for this. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
even gonna ask.
it's an unimaginable price for a kid. You see 3 digits, you just walk away.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna ask for this. No, no, no chance.
It's 3 digits, 99.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, Ray Chi in the chat said it was 200.
2. It feels like it was more than that. It feels like it
It
was more, but
does.
okay.
It
2.
does. It really does. I gotta double check this.
Yeah, we gotta fact check that. We gotta fact check that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
man, like I said, I didn't even ask. And the weird thing about it was, so where I was living at the time,
yep, it was $2.99.
300, yeah.
It was
So that came
$2.99.
out around the same time as the Sega Saturn. Can you look that up? What was that? How much was that?
I thought the Sega Saturn was $3.99. I thought it was yeah. I think yeah. So Raichi, yeah, it was $2.99. But yeah,
Okay.
you're right about the $100 difference. So, but I'm a double check Sega Saturn.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
three
like
ninety
I
nine.
said,
Three
I
ninety
couldn't
nine.
ask for that.
Fucking
I
tragic.
would have got put out if I would have asked for that.
Yeah. That Saturn definitely wasn't happening because that was the price of like a PlayStation Digital right now.
Yeah. So thankfully, cousin L, if you out there, if you listening, you already know, bro. I was over your house all the time playing your PlayStation.
You said I was getting XP over at your crib.
I used to make up reasons to go over there. Like, yo, y'all need y'all leaves raked? You know what I'm saying? Y'all need chores done? Let
Oh
me come help
snap.
you out, bro.
He was with it. All right, cool. So that's how you kind of got your way into the PlayStation. What were the games? I mean, you said Tekken, of course. What were some of the other ones that you said?
Like the first party joints was like Crash Bandicoot. I played a lot. I still played a lot of fighting games. So for the
Soul Blade?
longest time before I started kind of developing my own personality as a gamer, I echoed the personality of like my older cousins and my older brother. My older brother played a lot of sports games and a lot of fighting games, and he dabbled a little bit of like adventure games. So even
Yeah,
all the way
it's
up
like
to PlayStation, like we all still played fighting games, sports games, and like we dabbled into a little bit of like adventure games. It wasn't until when I moved to where I moved to, where my cousin was like a block away. I met this dude that was like 3 or 4 levels above me as in terms of like where he was as a gamer. And that's when I kind of got introduced to like different stuff. Like this dude had years worth of like electronic gaming monthly. You remember those magazines or like the Game Informer joints?
yeah.
Yeah, he had like years worth. And them joints was almost like in mint condition. And just like I said, when you move to a new place, it just kind of organically happens. People who game, like they just find their way to each other, like if they're in close enough proximity. So me and him, we just happened to be at the course hooping one day, and I just kind of knew by the way he was moving. I'm like, yo, he play games. I already know. So we got to talking, and I went to his crib, and it was almost like a museum. Like this dude, you could tell like every extra penny that he had, he spent on either a game, a console, a magazine. Like it was crazy. And it was like heaven for me as a gamer. So he's the person that kind of helped expand my profile, you know what I mean, and expose me to different stuff as a gamer.
I mean, that's an amazing moment though, right? Because I mean, think about your come up so far. This is what you've told me so far. So
Yeah.
far, you said I was indoctrinated into gaming by Nintendo,
Hmm.
and soon came the big homie with the Sega Genesis to
Yes, sir.
teach me that there's more than just this platform. There's
Yep.
also this over here, and it has some fire. And then you still being a kid, trading games and stuff like that, then you end up meeting, or not meeting, but you end up hanging out with somebody over after Christmas, playing a ton of PlayStation,
Yeah.
playing a ton
Cousin
of
L.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
As you develop further, you then meet. I mean, think about this. This is like watching the first episode of Pokemon with Ash, and he was Ashy. And then you go about 3 seasons deep,
Yeah.
and this it's like, oh, this sucker moving like he know what he doing. He
Yeah.
over here
So,
calling
like I
out
said,
gamers.
man,
Oh, I see you
mind
over
blown.
there.
Completely mind blown. Like, it was like meeting the Oracle. You know what I mean? Like, if you
Oh
Neo,
shit.
you know what I'm saying? And so, like, the first like experience that he introduced me to that was outside of my normal gaming scope was, so one day I went to his house, right? And he was playing what at the time I didn't know was The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I'm like, yo, what's that? He's like, you never played this? I was like, nah, I don't even know what that is, bro. So he proceeded to try to help me understand what it was, and it wasn't connecting. I did at the time have a Super Nintendo, but like I said, we only played like sports and fighting games.
Right.
So he straight up popped the game out the system and was like, yo, we going to your house right now. I want you to play this. You need to play this. I was like,
Oh,
all right,
shit.
cool. So we went to my crib, we popped it in. He was like, the only thing is, don't delete my save. You at that time the save traveled with the cartridge. You know what I
Right.
mean?
There's a
So
battery in the cartridge. Yep.
yeah. So so I popped it in. He like, all right, I'm gonna get you started, but I need you to play this. And to this day, that is one of the most authentically dope gaming experiences that I've ever had, like playing through Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Because at the time, I had no idea what that was. Like, I didn't even look at games like that at that age. It was only sports, fighting games, and like some action adventure. You know what I'm saying? So he just kind of like opened a whole new door for me in terms of like exposure to a different type of gaming.
He said so. Raichi in the chat said so young, yet he was a Nintendo missionary. I mean, for real though, like, so this man, I mean, and that's the dope thing about gamers or really hobbyists, right? Is because once you meet somebody that's into your hobby, right?
Yeah.
You you internally get excited. But then when you find out that they are, cloudy in this area right here, it's amazing the length that people will go to make sure that you kind of see it their way, right? Bad or good, bad or good. Like, because sometimes it's nefarious,
Yeah.
sure. But in this case, it was for genuine pleasure.
Sure. No, I kind of feel like that's one of them joints where I would probably say like 70% of people who consider themselves gamers would play that game and have an authentically good experience, even if you don't necessarily like that type of game. But so much about The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past was so well done that you would just enjoy it. Like, if you embrace the experience, if you just like leaned into it, like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna put all my biases aside and I'm gonna just play this. If you do that, I really feel like there's no way you can't say, you know what, that was dope. I really enjoyed that. That was dope. And that's what it did for me. And it just kind of completely opened up a whole new door of games for me.
Yeah, I mean, it opened your eyes to like how something can be so complex yet so simple at the same time,
Mhm.
and kind of capture your attention with with ease
Yeah.
with ease. And it's crazy because it's the same formula today. It's just still hard to capture, right? I mean, currently we see what Pal Worlds is doing, right? It's literally a super simple game, but if you want it to be complex, it'll fuck you up.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, didn't what was the Pokemon genre? Pokemon Go? Didn't that do that to people for a little bit?
People walking out in traffic.
Yeah.
People putting their lives on the line to get to these gyms.
Mhm. So, yeah, that's like the power of this hobby, you know? It don't even have to be like this really high-end experience. It could be something simple like Temple Run that just completely blows your mind.
Mm, that's a fact. All right, so now you're getting a little bit older.
Mhm.
You done met the Oracle.
Oh, yeah.
And you done met the Oracle, and now your palette went from a few genres to you know open up for shop and willing to just give anything a try at this point. It's almost what it seems like, because it really ends up being like that for most people that end up really getting into gaming. There ends up being a time where you discover something that threw you off so much that now you're just like chasing that feeling with other genres as well.
Yeah.
What was the next thing to captivate you the way that Zelda just did? Like, because I mean, everybody has that moment after they beat one of arguably the greatest games they've played either that year or in the past, several years or of all time. There becomes that kind of dark moment of like, that's over, and how am I gonna follow this up? What was the next thing that felt like it followed it up and was either as good, almost as good, or better?
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, so it's an easy one. So it was 100% better. So and I ain't even gonna hold you, like,
100%. Goddamn.
so he helped me finish Zelda because I did get stuck a few times. But after I was done, I'm like, "Dog, what's next? Like, this was incredible. What is the next, like, version of this that I can experience?" And he was like actually, I actually ended up walking in on him playing this. So it came to us as, like, Final Fantasy 3, but I guess in, like, the grand scheme of things, it's, like, 5 or 6, but it was Final Fantasy 3 on SNES. So he's playing that one day. I'm in his crib. I'm like, "Yo, what's that, bro?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is Final Fantasy 3. You never played this?" I was like, "No, I never played this. We've had this
Yeah, he
conversation
trolling you
already."
now.
So, same way like he did with Zelda, my man just popped the cartridge out the console and was like, "Yo, let's go. We going to your crib. We got to get this popping." And I started playing it and I was hooked, like instantly hooked. And I never even knew that I could like something like that, but it was incredible. The experience was incredible. And I didn't even really like lean on him too much for help. I tried to figure everything out for myself. And I had such amazing experience playing. I ended up beating that game like 5, 6, maybe even 7 times, man. And that is kinda where I kinda got introduced into JRPGs, and that's one of my favorite genres still to this day.
All right. So you then so at that point you felt like, I'm upgraded now. I earned a new belt,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, sensei need to come over here and put this belt around me. I'm good.
Yeah, that's a good way to quantify that.
All right, so that had happened. The SNES sounds like it was just running your life for a minute.
It was. It definitely was because like I said, I was a heavy Genesis lean. I didn't know a lot of people with, SNES, at the time. So I was, like,
A lot of the stuff was more
simultaneously
expensive for
playing
the
games on
SNES at that time.
SNES and PS1. Um, just because, like I said, I was a very heavy Genesis lean. I didn't know a lot of people with the Super Nintendo, so
Right. So, all right. So once you got through, your SNES phase, I mean, I'm sure you always went back to it because during those times, we really we preserved the hell out of what we had,
Oh yeah.
right? Until it was then time to move on up to the next, to the next tier that was like PlayStation or PlayStation 2 or something like that. Then we'd like get everything together, put it in like a trash bag, and take that shit up to GameStop, trade that shit in, and try to level up to the next thing. What was the next big jump for you around this time period?
Yeah, so I definitely ended up packing all of my SNES stuff up and my Genesis stuff up as hard as it was, and taking it to Funko Land at the time for a PS1. And my life, I mean, you see my wall. um
Yeah, I see it.
I've been a very heavy PlayStation lean. I wouldn't consider myself a fanboy, but I've been a very heavy PlayStation lean ever since. Ever since. Because most people who have an affinity for JRPGs will probably tell you, SNES and PS1 probably had the best selection of JRPGs.
Okay. I mean, that's not a lie. I mean, everything else, I mean, if you think about that time period, a lot of other companies that were making consoles. So, I mean, you think about the Jaguar, you think about the 3DO, you think about, just, those other consoles during that time period, the Saturn and stuff like that. They, I mean, this was an early time in gaming to a sense where there was a transition being made into 3D, right? And there
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of companies that really understood how to maneuver themselves around development and who to get and who isn't, already taken away to the point that they can't work on games for that said platform and stuff like that. Like 3DO was struggling to get people to want to work on their on their platinum same on their platform. Same with the Jaguar,
Yeah.
struggling. And those were CD based consoles. The SNK also had their own console out there as well, and I mean, struggled. Even Sega, the premier console from the previous generation that just wouldn't stop tripping themselves, was then struggling to really get things running properly for their platform. Yet PlayStation comes out of nowhere, rips Final Fantasy away from Nintendo, right? And purchases a bunch of other or purchases in the sense of like exclusivity rights with a bunch of other developers and whatnot that are up and coming, which at that point was genius for them.
Yeah.
No lie, that was smart. Because look how it led. A lot of people were just like, "Fuck Nintendo, I want to work with them." There were other people that were just like, "Yo, I'm not being exclusive. I want to put my games in multiple places." And PlayStation was like, "As long as you doing it with us." So,
Yeah.
I
So
I, I
I
need to know,
honestly, man, it really felt like PlayStation almost had the the book from Back to the Future
right,
2. It almost felt like they had that book because for those first 2 generations, like there was no missteps. They made every right decision. Like the PS1 could not have gone any better. They came in at $100 under Sega Saturn, and they made all the right partnerships to completely bankrupt the Saturn, and that hurt my heart, man. Because I
right.
told you my story about my Sega Genesis. I was really hoping that the Saturn, you know, did numbers, and it didn't. um, but Yeah, like I said, man, like it was like they had the cheat code, man. They made all the right decisions with the PlayStation 1 and even transitioning to the PS2. They made every right decision and they just completely just built an empire that, like I said, you see the back wall. They a lot of my most treasured experiences as a gamer, I can tie to the PlayStation console. So that's why there's a lot of appreciation from my part, and that's why I display it back there like that.
Man, yeah, I mean, I love the original PlayStation. That
Mhm.
was bae for
Mm.
me. I absolutely love that console. I mean, I even was copping import games and stuff like that. I had a little spring that went inside to keep the disc spinning, and I had
Yeah,
the
I
little
was
actual
listening to
replay
you and,
thing.
Bari, on when you interviewed him about a year ago talking about imports.
Yeah, man. I mean, that shit was high, and to me, it was just insane because as a little kid at the time, you didn't think about languages and things being imported and stuff like that. You were just like you like you think what you're playing is being played everywhere else the exact same way, right?
Yeah,
But you don't think about language barriers and stuff like that until you get one of them import discs and you're like, yo, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but this game
right.
is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this joint right here is hot. But then moving into the PlayStation 2, because we already talked about your PlayStation kind of background on what you played on there and whatnot. So a lot of people's favorite generation is this one with the
Yeah.
Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, OG Xbox, and GameCube. All consoles hot. All consoles hot. Each one had their own flavor. And even games like Soul Calibur knew that because they
Yeah.
made they made a different version for each console.
Oh,
Remember,
yeah, I remember that.
Game
Yep.
Link. I believe one of them had Spawn. I think that what was that the Xbox that had Spawn?
I think so.
And then I don't remember what the PlayStation there's a third one I know for sure. I think it was Hayachi from
Hachi,
Tekken.
yeah. He was in the
Yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah. Um so like each one of them banging for their own thing, but I want you to tell me your experience first with your darling that was the PlayStation 2. And I mean, that was easily, I mean, from what we see in number wise, greatest generation of all time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know that anyone, regardless of where their allegiance lies as a gamer, would argue that that generation was owned by PlayStation. And at the time, I was kinda transitioning into young adulthood, where other folks was going off to college. I went right from high school into the military. I went into the Air Force. So I remember vividly as a young dude, very young dude, one of the youngest dudes on base. Um, that was around the time that the PlayStation 2 it dropped. And like I wasn't privy to a lot of the promotion that was happening because at the time I was in Germany. But I remember vividly, like I said, no visibility to any of the release schedules, none of that stuff. I just happened to get off of work one day as a super duper young dude, and I used to work the overnight shift, so I would get off like at like 7 in the morning, and a
Right.
lot of times I would stop by the base exchange before I went back to my dorm,
Oh yeah, you
and
went
I
to the
just
BX.
remember going to the base exchange one day, and I'm like, "Yo, what's that?" It was a blue box. They had 2 of them. And and it just so happened that one of the dudes that was working there, he was young too. He was like, "Yeah, that's the new PlayStation, the PlayStation 2. We didn't get
Yeah,
that many of them. So if you want
I'll cut
one,
that blue
you
box
gotta
up, man.
grab it
I'm
right
ready to
now."
buy.
And I just like I said, I just happened to walk in there on my way, like I just happened to catch it um the day that it launched on like right at the time that the exchange opened. And then the dude that I shared a suite with, I called him. I was like, "Yo, I know you play games like I do, bro. They got them PlayStation 2s in here. If you want one, come down here right now." So we
Right.
just kind of lucked up and like he just got his shit together and he came down there like within 5 minutes and we snatched them joints up, man. Because I don't think anybody really played games like we did, and so I just kind of lucked up, man, on getting a PlayStation 2 on the day that it launched. We ended up getting like a handful of them joints, and they had two of them on the shelf. So me and my boy, we copped them. So lucky for
Shout
us,
out to the
man.
BX for having it, right?
Yeah,
Yo.
absolutely. Shout out to the BX in Germany, man.
Um Vincent Vega in the chat asked, you located in Frankfurt by any chance?
I was in Bitburg, not Frankfurt. Bitburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, that's a hell of an experience. And I mean, keep in mind you're out of the United States when you buy
Yeah.
that. So it's like, so what was the differences, or were there any differences, or did you have flat out just an American version of the console?
No different whatsoever. So if you are in the military and you live on a base that is happen to be out of the country, everything that you experience for the most part will be like an American experience. So,
So y'all have regular
everything that
plugins
you
and
buy
everything.
for the most part will be American unless, like I said, you happen to be in one of those countries where like the plugs are crazy. um,
Oh,
but
so the
yeah,
plugs are the
where I
same over
was
there
in
than as
Germany,
American.
I didn't have one of those crazy plugs. We had the American plug, so everything was just like it would be if you copped it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, okay. Cool. And then on top of it, you said American base, flat out gonna have everything American.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, that's what's up. All right, so PlayStation 2 drops. You get it. You hit up the boys. They get it.
Yep.
Right. You young, you working, you
Got
out
my
of the
own bread.
country. Yeah, you getting your own bread. You seeing things differently. And like I said earlier, now you're getting to this point where you can start anticipating some things. I mean, it's still nothing like it is today, where it's like, yo, I seen on Twitter, the yada yada. It still was nothing like that. But
Right.
at the same time, you're still, indebted to the game, to the sense that you understand, like, yo, there's some moving things in this relationship between me and PlayStation, and I'm starting to understand how they run they business a little bit. A little bit. I don't understand or see the future by any means, but like I know that they got, this, that, and the third. What was, especially seeing that this is a PlayStation 2, what were you most looking forward to once you got that console?
So again, I wasn't privy to any of the promotion. Like I said, I'm overseas. I'm not seeing commercials.
Oh, right. I gotta
We
remember that. You
Yeah,
you
so
ain't even you ain't even
we
seeing the
had
shit
the
that we
internet,
seeing.
but if you didn't have it set up in your dorms, and a lot of cats didn't have it set up in their dorms, like you had to go to the learning resource center to get online to see what was popping. And I honestly, I didn't waste time on that. So I was completely oblivious to what was coming out.
Oh shit.
Like I
See,
literally had to
you
rely
miles
on
away from the Oracle
guys
now.
in the BX. Like I would ask them, like, yo, what's coming out? What's hot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You thousands of miles away from the Oracle now, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You don't know what's popping no more. You sweating.
No idea.
Okay, so I had it a little bit wrong. I thought you were on top of it a little bit, but this sidestep and being in another company and whatnot, you are now not seeing what we are seeing over here in America, and you're, you know, you know, no disrespect, head dug in the sand a little bit
Yeah.
because you over here just working and taking care of business.
Yeah.
So, so what were some of the first things that you kind of figured out once you started asking questions and, breaking people down for like, information?
Um, so it was just because the resources over there was so scarce. The fact that we even got our hands on one, like, put us in a different class. You know what I mean? Because like I said, when I walked in there that day, there was only two. So I made sure I got one. I made sure my boy D got one. And for a minute, like we was like them dudes, you know. And it wasn't even nothing out there that we was playing. Like, I think it came with this launch game that was like it had something to do with fireworks. I can't remember the name of it, but it didn't matter. When it came to PlayStation 2 for like a month and a half, we was the only ones on base with it. You know what I'm saying? So we
Yeah,
was
the
them
glorified
guys.
DVD player,
But
pretty much.
eventually they started getting more stuff like shipped into the BX, and it didn't matter. Like, if it was Madden, we copped, whatever it was, man. Like, we got it because, like I said, it was only a handful of us on base that actually had it, at the time. So
Okay. Well, you said that you got some, some of the sports games, some of the obvious games, and since we're talking about obvious games, I might as well ask you. I mean, because a lot of people have a good idea of what they were doing or what was going down or what was kind of happening with their life during this time. But what was popping with you? GTA 3 came out. Rolled out. Where were you?
so around the time that came out, um, we had a few more of those PS2 consoles kind of make their way through the dorms. But everybody had that shit. Every single one of us had it.
Mhm.
And we played that thing to death. Yeah, that was a game changer. That was definitely a game changer. I remember the top down GTAs from the PS1 era, and for them to go to a fully 3D experience like what they did. Oh yeah, that was next level. And the thing that really resonated with me, because I'm such a lover of music, was like the radio stations, the soundtracks. I'm like, God damn, the music on this game is dope. Ah, Like, they
Yeah,
had
yeah. It
Sean
was, it,
Price, you know what I'm saying? They had Jojo Pellegrino, like dudes that I'm familiar with that were on the soundtrack. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, this shit is crazy, bro. I can't.
yeah,
This is
game
this
radio
is
was
next
slapping.
level.
Game radio was slapping.
Yeah, game radio was wow.
I mean, Chatterbox was my joint too because Killer Bees. Like,
Yeah, Chatterbox was funny. It's funny as hell. It's funny as hell.
oh man, Laszlo, that shit had me
Laszlo,
dying all
yeah.
the
Yes,
time.
sir.
Laszlo, and what was that other dude? The creepy guy. Oh man, I can't remember it. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
You'd be
can't
like,
remember
Laszlo,
though.
why you
I
so
can't remember.
ugly? But Ray Chi in the chat being mad disrespectful. He says, with a $2 super chat, what happened when a Chad brought Halo to the base?
So I'm like I said, you see PlayStation stuff on my wall, but I am not a fanboy. So when I went to the BX and I saw Xboxes in there, I did the same thing. I called my boy D. I'm like, bro, I don't know if you know, but they got them Xboxes in here. He didn't know what the fuck it was.
Man,
So
calling
he didn't come up
everybody.
there the way he did with the same energy for the PlayStation 2. But I did. I'm like, you know what? I'm copping one of these. I don't know what Microsoft is doing, but I love video games and I love new experiences. So I'm bringing his Xbox home. And I loved my Xbox, man. Loved it. I'm not even gonna lie. Loved my Xbox.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, because I wanted to talk about each of the consoles during this generation, and then I'm gonna kind of fast track through the rest of it because I want to get to some other things. During I mean, while I have you here on this podcast, sorry, I got like this burp that just like won't come out.
You
Anyways,
good.
but uh, but okay, so PlayStation 2 was obviously solidified, right?
Yeah.
It had great games. The DVD player was hot back then. We can't lie about that. That was hot. Having a
Yeah.
DVD
Yeah.
player, I mean, something because back in the day for me, it was like, man, I don't want to change inputs and stuff like that. I want everything to be on just this one input and it's good to go.
Yeah.
I can throw a movie in it, I can throw a game in it, and all I gotta do is just turn on the TV and it's on the spot. It's
Yeah.
good to go. Unless I'm trying to, watch WWF or WCW or something like that. I'll turn the channel there. But
Right.
but as for so PlayStation 2 solidified, Grand Theft Auto was hot. obviously Vice City, yada yada, hot games. I'm sure you got into like Final Fantasy and stuff like that over on the PlayStation 2 because that was a big deal. The whole bundle and everything that they had was a big deal as well. With that, it had the whole online thing with it. But we're done with that. Xbox now. You said you went through the same situation where hey, yo dog, they got this joint down here at the BX. You need to come
Yeah.
cop it. I'm copping it. Now you guys have an Xbox. Take me take me on a walk with you. What happened?
Yeah. So just to be upfront, be obvious, be open with the folks. I'm not a big fan of first person anything. Not a big fan, never have been, but I'm not opposed to trying it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The Oracle taught you
And
well.
the first game, I think it came with the first Halo. And so I hook it up, the first thing that I had to make an adjustment to was that big ass controller. So I'm like, God damn, what the hell is
Right.
this?
It's like it was
So,
huge.
but after a couple hours, I got adjusted to that big controller. I got adjusted to the crazy button layout because I remember it had like a black button and a white button, and obviously that the X, B, A, and Y and whatever. So I boot up Halo, and I'm like, I don't like first person shooters, but I really like this. The music
It's
is
smooth.
good. The the combat is good. Like everything about this is pretty dope. I'm really enjoying this. Like, what else y'all got over here? So we didn't have the same level of appreciation for Xbox, so we were a little slow getting like games and things for Xbox, but
Sure.
a lot of the games that I had to get, I had to go through, my manager at the time. Like I had to order stuff through him because he had to connect. Um, but yeah, I had an appreciation for my Xbox. So like I said, man, I'm a opportunity gamer. Wherever great experiences are to be had, that's where I'm going, regardless of what the logo is.
No doubt, no doubt. And that's the right way to be. I mean, that's literally how you grow, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it's the same thing with music, really. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was taught this at an early age from my dad. I mean, me and my dad don't go too far back. I'm not uh, too great with pops or whatnot. But one thing that I know that he taught me was when I was early and super young. He said, if you want to understand people of all different races, listen to all different types of music.
Yeah.
He said you
Yeah.
could
And you
level
can
with
apply that same
people,
logic to gaming for sure.
and exactly, that's my point. I mean, you can really tie it to anything else,
Yeah.
right? But particularly in gaming, in this sense, it's just like if I want to understand why this person enjoys Xbox, I mean, I can't play this PlayStation. I got to play the Xbox. If I want to
Yeah.
understand why this person loves Nintendo, I can't play the Xbox. I got to play the Nintendo. So
Yeah.
it's just like you got to go to these things to get an understanding before you just say, "Oh, everything's just trash. Everything sucks." Yeah,
Yeah.
yada yada. And then even if you say that's for you, homie, that's it.
Yeah.
Somebody else's experience thinks it's hot. So it just kind of is what it is. But so moving on. So Xbox, you said you had to hit up old manager, to get some games a little slower to it because PlayStation was home for you.
Yeah.
But now I want to go backwards a little bit and ask you about the Dreamcast because we skipped right the fuck over that. And now,
Yeah.
and Sega was a big deal for you back in the day. So I want to know, where were you at? Did you get yourself a Dreamcast? Did you play phenomenal games like Shenmue?
Yeah. So Dreamcast holds a very special place in my heart personally as a
Mm,
gamer because like I told you before, I didn't come from bread. I wasn't in one of them type of families where I could just ask my mom like, "Hey, this is what I want for Christmas, and she got it, or asked my pops, this is what I wanted for Christmas, and they got it. All my stuff that I got up until a certain age was like secondhand. So around the time when Dreamcast came out, I'm in a position now where I'm kind of like hustling on my own, making my own bread, figuring out things financially on my own. And that was the first console that I ever bought with my own money. So
Oh
I
shit.
really, really have a special place in my heart for Dreamcast. And to this day, I love Dreamcast, and I would love to cop a Dreamcast or working Dreamcast just so I can have it in my collection. Um, but yeah, I absolutely bought Dreamcast on launch day. Remember it like it was yesterday. Me and my homeboy Tony went to the mall to go pick up our Dreamcast. His joint worked, mine didn't. Mine was broke, and I had to go through this whole like 2 or 3 week thing with EB Games at the time to get my Dreamcast replaced. But once I got that all figured out, man, Ready to Rumble, I think was the launch game that I copped.
Ah,
And man, when I finally got it booted up and was able to play it, it was next level. That and I think NFL 2K, I think it was, or NFL
yeah, with
something.
Randy Moss on the cover. Yep. Yep.
Randy Moss on the cover. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes,
Yep. I
sir.
remember that. And Allen Iverson on the NBA
On the
2K
basketball
cover.
joint. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Those games were hot back in the day,
Mhm.
bro. The VMU and all. Yo,
So,
that shit.
man, listen, the
Mm.
VMU was so ahead of its time, man. Oh my god. For people who've never played Dreamcast, like, to be able to take that VMU to school and, like, be able to, like, do stuff to affect your save, oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, the Dreamcast was ahead of its time, man.
Hmm. Remember the little chows? You used to fuck around with those little things on the little VMUs and whatnot.
Absolutely,
Man,
absolutely. Bro,
yo,
and
that shit
on
was
the
hot.
Dreamcast, if anybody from Sega watches this podcast, can we get another Power Stone, please? Or
Mm,
remake of Power Stone? Come on now. Let's get another Power Stone.
man, that was a 3D fighter of like different than any other 3D fighter that I've ever played.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
never
To this
ran
day.
around a map or not a map, but like a or like a and like a ring or a fighting space like
Yeah.
that and just randomly fight and do these crazy power moves and man, it was hot.
There's been nothing like it since. Nothing like it since. So please, can we get another Power Stone? Somebody. Or Crazy Taxi. Well, we're getting another Crazy Taxi, thankfully.
Yep.
I think we're getting another Jet Set Radio Grind or whatever the name is, the
Yep. Jet Set
skateboard or
Radio.
the
Yeah.
roller skating joint. We getting another one of those. But please, can we get another Power Stone? Come on now.
Yeah, another Power Stone would be real hot. That's for sure. I can't deny that. All right, but yeah, I definitely had to go back and talk about the Dreamcast because we can't forget the one that didn't make it to the end of the generation, but was no doubt hot. No doubt hot. The one that really, really introduced comfortably online playing was the Dreamcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, but now moving along, now we talked about Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, Xbox, all hot, all owned by Pharaoh J, the man
Yes,
right
sir.
here. Now let's go on ahead and see if you owned the latest at the time Nintendo product. That was the GameCube. Did you ever cop
Yeah.
one of those?
So I
This
did.
man was on a
So
tirade.
like I said, man, didn't come from bread. So when I got in a position where I was able to kind of recreate experiences that I was denied as a child because
Mm,
financially we just didn't have it, I leaned into every opportunity to do that for myself. So, when I was in the military, a lot of my money was spent on gaming. So there was a time where I had a 64, I had a PlayStation, I had a PlayStation 2, I had a Dreamcast, I had a GameCube, I had a I had a Game Boy Advance. I had everything because I love playing video games so much, and like I said, I was denied so many of these opportunities as a youth. When I was in position to be able to experience these things as an adult, I took every opportunity. So yeah, man, I had it all, man. I had every single one.
Mm. What were some of the best experiences that you had on GameCube?
Oh man, the first time I played, I guess at the time it was Smash Bros. Melee.
Yep. Super Smash Bros.
So
Melee.
that
That game was hot.
yes, sir. I can't. What was it? Twilight Princess that was on GameCube.
Mm,
I can't remember which one. So
I'm
whichever
bad with
Zelda was
Zeldas.
on
I'm
GameCube,
bad with Zeldas.
that Super Mario Sunshine. So all the
Mhm.
first party stuff,
Luigi's
man.
Mansion.
Metroid Prime, I think it was.
Yes. Yes, sir.
All so and to this day, like my relationship with Nintendo is the same. So they still hold a place where they can create an experience that none of these other communities or none of these other companies can. You know, they don't have Mario, they don't have Link, they don't have Samus, you know, they don't have Pokemon, they don't have these things. So their first party lineup is arguably the strongest of any of these big three, you know, console developers. So yeah, that's yeah. So when I had my GameCube, you know, everything that was unique to that console, I had it.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's a whole generation right there. You had all of them
I
joints,
I had them all. I had them all.
and you have a little bit of a story for each one of them, which made it phenomenal. Asking you about each one, but now I have to go on to the next generation, and I want to spend a little less time on this, on the next few generations, um, just because I want to kind of keep it pushing. But
Yep.
I definitely got to ask 360, PS3, Wii. All, some, or none?
So around the time where the 360, the Wii, and the PS3 came out, my relationship with PlayStation, we were kind of at odds because I think that was when they came out with like them ridiculous prices for the PlayStation 3. And I know that they at the time they came out with two different variation. I think it was like a 20 and a 60 gig. But I appreciated Xbox for providing a lot of flexibility from a pricing standpoint for me as a very young and up and coming, paying for all their own stuff gamer to get into their ecosystem. So when the Xbox 360 was out, I was 100% Xbox. I didn't even get a PS3 until way late in the game. Way,
Yo,
way late. So all of my like
Xbox
during
got
that
you.
time, that's when I first got to experience like Mass Effect. Uh, I can't remember everything that was unique to that era, but I was a very heavy Xbox 360 lean at the time. And honestly, because I'm not somebody that's really big in the multiplayer, but I remember um when Gears of War came out,
Mm,
that was the first time that I really started kind of getting into multiplayer because Xbox Live was popping. It was
yeah,
almost like a party.
undeniable.
You know, when I would get home from work on like a Friday, I would always get on Xbox Live, see which one of my homies was on, and we would run like Gears of War multiplayer. Like that was the best of times, man. It really was the best of times.
Yeah. So you say you had the Wii?
I did have a Wii, but my so I would always get Nintendo games, but I would always get like whatever Zelda was out or whatever Mario was out. But I didn't play like Wii like that. It was only like specific experiences that were unique to their console. So, but I did have a Wii, but I didn't really play it like that.
So it sounds like during this generation, 360, Wii, PS3, you had more patience.
I definitely had
It
more
sounds like you
patience.
were like
Like I
waiting
said,
for it to
I
come to
was
you
making
now.
decisions based off of finances. So I waited. I waited probably 3 or 4 years into that generation's life cycle before I got a PlayStation. I was all Xbox and like 10% Wii at the time.
Okay. So Xbox ended up being really big for you during that era. PlayStation, you never let it go, but you had to like tell it, maybe a little bit, maybe a little later. Finances, a little bit more keen on I don't how you want to spend your money.
I had to tell PlayStation to get their life together, man. You know what I mean? Y'all
Yeah, get shit
wilding right
together.
now. Get your life together.
But as we progress into the next generation, that was the PS4 later, but then to become because I'm just gonna go ahead and skip the Wii U. I'm just gonna skip it. Yeah, we just gonna skip that and talk about the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and I'm detecting a little bit of a different line being drawn in the sand during this generation.
So 360 is one of my all-time favorite consoles. All-time favorite. Absolutely loved the Xbox 360. But my relationship with the Xbox One was completely different. And it wasn't necessarily tied to any sort of like one-on-one experience. At the time, I was fortunate enough to be doing tech support for Microsoft at the time through a third party. And we were like gearing up for the release of the Xbox One. And the the release of the Xbox One was handled from my perspective as somebody that was a tier 1 tech support guy was handled so poorly that I swore off the Xbox. I was so disenchanted with Xbox at that time because of my experience as a tech support person for Microsoft. It was so bad that I was completely done. Completely done. I've never owned an Xbox One. Never owned it.
Mm.
Because I like the one thing that I remember
And it
from that
killed your
time was
spirit.
when it launched, it had a day one update. And for whatever reason, it was bricking people's consoles. And um Xbox at the time or Microsoft at the time, for us as tier 1 tech support people, they didn't set the right expectations as far as what people were supposed to do to fix that. They 100% had to send their console in. It's a hardware issue. So, we can't fix it remotes. You got to ship it in and somebody has to actually
Mhm.
physically do something to fix it. But the one thing that I remember personally was they didn't tell us specifically what to tell the people. So we had a whole bunch of people sending everything back when they were only supposed to just send their console back. So we had mad people that sent, their controller at the time to connect, all their cables. They sent everything back and they received just the console back. And they're like, hey, you know, where's my cables? Where's my controller? Where's my connect? And it's like, I don't know. I have no
Okay.
idea. So it was such a horrible time, man. It was such a horrible experience for me personally as a tier 1 person that I completely skipped that whole generation for Xbox.
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 all
Being
day.
behind the enemy lines really turned you off.
Oh my god, it was awful, bro. It was awful.
That stinks. That
Yeah,
stinks.
it was awful.
I mean, I for myself because I ended up getting the Xbox One at launch. I enjoyed the hell out of it because it did everything that I wanted a console to do. Like I said, I didn't want to turn the channel to another. I didn't want to go to a different input. So everything was where it was supposed to be. For me, where that console just kind of screwed the pooch was you know, the first party content and direction that they wanted to go with that. I did not
Yeah.
understand how they went from such a great, like, flat out, like, undisputed console to then a console that fundamentally does a lot of dope shit, but the people behind, the people put in charge to drive the ship, yo, uh, you're driving a Porsche, but the driver is inebriated. Like, it's just like,
Oh, big
that's what
fact.
it felt like at Xbox. It's like, yo, you got, like, because it's not like good games couldn't run on the Xbox. Like, Rise of Rome was hot.
Yeah.
Titanfall was hot. Sunset Overdrive, hot. It's just like the management there to keep the ball rolling was just, like I said,
So
they were just drunk.
let me ask you a question, because you seem to be a brother that is a heavy lean towards Xbox.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Does it feel like to you that perhaps what we experienced as gamers with the 360 was a fluke because how poorly the Xbox One was managed? And maybe it's too early to talk about what's going on with the Xbox Series X, but when if you just lock in on the Xbox One and think about how poorly that whole life cycle was managed, do you kind of feel like, man, they kind of got lucky with the 360?
Not exactly. And here's why. I kind of look at it like I look at like a basketball team that's really good, right? You had a person that was like entrenched in the industry that started out with the Xbox being Seamus Blackley and company. You move over to the 360, you had a burning hot Peter Moore from Sega.
Peter Moore was dope.
You're moving well. Peter Moore says, I'm all set. The next hire is the problem now. To me, it's just like Phil Jackson is no longer in the building, but we still have Kobe Bryant. That's what it felt like to me as an
Okay.
Xbox fan.
I can
We
respect
have Kobe Bryant still, but for some reason we missed the playoffs. Like, on the outside looking in, you see Kobe Bryant on the squad, and then you hear that y'all didn't make the playoffs. A lot of questions to be answered.
Nah, I hear you, because like I said, at the time, fiscally for me, it made more sense to be an Xbox person because I was a very young adult, but I still love my hobby as a gamer, and Xbox offered me an opportunity to get into my hobby at a price point that made sense for me. And that whole run was prolific. I don't think anybody who's honest with themselves will say that the run that the Xbox 360 had wasn't high level. But I don't understand how, when they transitioned from the 360 to the Xbox One, like, it just was, I felt like it was just handled so poorly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why I skipped the Xbox One. I didn't even buy it. And I don't mind
No,
that, 'cause
no,
I
it's
got a
understandable
Series
for
X sitting
somebody
right
that,
there. You know what I'm
especially
saying?
you have to deal with tech support. I get that.
Oh my god, the tech support was awful. I did tech support for Xbox One. It was not good. It was not good. It wasn't
No,
good.
no, no. I 100% understand it from your standpoint for sure. Um, but yeah. I mean, that's just kind of how I looked at it. I didn't look at it as much of a fluke as it was just flat out poor management.
Yeah,
Just
it was awful.
flat out
Awful.
poor management. Because if you look at the way that the Xbox One kind of ended the generation versus the way it started the generation, it was a complete flip
Yeah.
on ideals and stuff like that. And then going into the Xbox Series console, which which we're gonna kind of get into this generation now. So I gotta ask you, you got burned or you didn't like the Xbox One. You dealt with the tech support and stuff like that. You heard all the issues. You've dealt with some of the issues and seen a lot of like the stuff kind of going on in the background. Um, but now the series consoles are out. The Switch is still out there doing this thing. I'm still going to be asking you about that, but it bled into this generation as well. And now the PS5 is out too. The way I kind of always bring up this part of the topic is I feel like me personally, I look at this generation as Switch is doing its thing. As for PlayStation and Xbox, 2020 was hot for PlayStation rolling out the PlayStation. You had Astro's Playroom already pre-installed. You had Demon Souls remake that a lot of people enjoyed. Miles and Morales, unquestionably hot. I love that game.
Yeah.
Remaster for Spider-Man, the first one. And you had your third party game and stuff like that come out and stuff like that too. I looked at PlayStation as they 100% took off 2020. 2021, Xbox put in some pretty good work with, and I mean, they won Publisher of the Year that year with Forza Horizon, Halo, Psychonauts, Flight Simulator, and whatever. PlayStation didn't have a bad year. I just felt like Xbox put out a little bit more on 2021. PlayStation still had Returnal, which a lot of people goated that game.
I love that game.
Ratchet and Clank, and a few other titles, I believe. But I gave 2021 to Xbox, 2020 to PlayStation, 2021 to Xbox, 2022 easily to PlayStation. God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo, exclusives over there for Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop. Yeah, I mean they just had a big year. But then 2023 back to Xbox. Starfield, awful. Redfall, sure, but then but Hi-Fi Rush as well, Forza Horizon, and a lot of great games in the Game Pass. Shadow Drop and stuff like Remnant in the Game Pass and stuff like that. So then the Xbox had a great 2023. 2024, Xbox is still kind of at the door, and they just got done with the developer direct saying Avowed, Indiana Jones, Aura, and of course Hellblade.
Yep.
PlayStation this year, they have some stuff announced, but as for first party, we're still a little bit of a head scratch. We got Helldivers, which I'm very interested in trying out. Final Fantasy, which nobody
I don't know
what
mama can relationship is with Square Enix, but Final Fantasy Rebirth is coming too. So
yes, Final Fantasy Rebirth. I think Stella Yams will be coming out at some point this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what
Rise of the Ronin as well, right? So I'm not out here saying PlayStation don't have any games at all, because they clearly do.
Yeah.
But I've got to ask, after last year, with some, especially the way the year ended, with the Insomniac leak, Naughty Dog saying, you know what, we done. We ain't doing this game anymore. And Bungie with with whatever is happening. I'm looking at this in the future. And then on the other side for Xbox, you have the question that is exclusivity. You have like people wondering how long they're going to be in the console space in general. I mean, there are a lot of question marks for both platforms. Xbox and PlayStation. PlayStation's looking like they're going to do a lot more on PC. Xbox is looking like they're saying fuck physical.
Yeah.
So like it's just like this generation has been a big head scratcher as to who is who is really driving the ship for either one of these. I mean, we know the names of the people and whatnot, but it's just like, this is a generation like we've never had before, where
Sure. Sure.
games that we look for are just vomiting all over the place. I got to ask you first about Nintendo before we get into the meat and potatoes of Xbox and PlayStation. Nintendo looking like they're coming out with a new console this year or early
Yep.
next year.
Yep.
I got to ask you first and foremost, is that a day one for you?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. So, relative to this whole sort of uh competition, I guess you would call it, between Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, I feel like Nintendo figured out what their personality is first. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like after GameCube, they figured out, you know
Yes.
what? We don't have to directly compete with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something that we can offer to the consumer that they just can't. And like I said earlier in this podcast, a lot of us draw our earliest experiences as gamers to first party Nintendo characters. I think if you asked 100 gamers, most of them would be like, yeah, Mario is the first dude that I remember connecting with as a
Yeah,
gamer. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So I think they figured it out first that, okay, we may not have that same sort of relationship with third party that Microsoft and Sony does, but first party, they can't do what we do. You know, we got
Facts.
Link, we got Samus, we got, Mario, you
Nostalgia
know,
on lock.
we can connect gamers back to nostalgia, and that always has value. Um, so I think that they figured it out that, yeah, we can be ourselves. We can create this console that's not even, um, so like it's crazy to me that the Switch is only 1080p and we're like in the age of 4K. You know what I'm saying? But it don't matter because they got stuff that can only be experienced over there. So that's Nintendo. I kind of feel like Sony is starting to kind of figure out who they are as well in this space. You know what I'm saying? I think that what Sony is doing is people like me who are a little bit more mature as gamers. I personally appreciate a lot of single player experiences, and I feel like Sony kind of is leaning into that. Well, there's a market out there for single player. You know what I'm saying? You got, like you got I guess Ratchet and Clank. You got what Naughty Dog is doing with Nathan Drake and with The Last of Us. You know, you look at some of the other stuff, the Horizon. So you look at Ghost of Tsushima. So it feels like not only does Sony kind of have an understanding of how to cultivate these relationships with these lower level studios and kind of help them flourish into what they want to be, uh from a big, like what they want to do long term or on a bigger scale, but they really kind of leaned into like single player experience. I'm still, and like I said, I'm non-biased. You see the PlayStation shit on the wall, but I love everybody. I got all three consoles and I love all three the same. I feel like Microsoft is still kind of trying to figure out who they want to be. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
Like what does gaming mean to them in this next age? You know what I'm saying? Like 2024 and beyond, as Xbox, what kind of sort of personality do we want to portray to gamers? What do we want to be? What kind of experience do we want to create over here that's unique, that regardless of what you own, over there, if you want to experience this, you got to come here to get it. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that they figure it out. I do. I really do hope that they figure it out because like I said, I did skip the Xbox One, but I have such a huge love for what they did with the 360, and I really do hope that they're able to recapture that energy that they had, and hopefully they're able to apply some pressure to these other two, man, and make this thing a real competition.
Okay, so you answered kind of about the Switch a little bit.
Yeah.
You sprinkled in a lot of PlayStation right there in Xbox.
So yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Let me just
but
say this:
yeah, go
Switch
ahead.
Two, whatever it is, day one cop.
Okay.
Yeah, day one.
Um, for me, I'm a little hesitant on getting the next Switch. Just I'm wondering how they treat the media that I already purchased and whatnot. Like I want to see how they treat Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, seeing that I purchased it already on the original Switch. Is it gonna be upgraded automatically? Is it gonna be uh something that I pay another $10-$20 for? Like, I mean, I'm waiting to see how they maneuver with that. Am I gonna easily have access to this stuff, or is it something that I'm gonna have to pay a one-time fee for it all, or whatever? Um, but as for now, I want to kind of turn to Xbox in particular and ask you just so the Xbox I feel like has a lot of question marks, some good, some some kind of damning for some people. Some people don't give a shit. I'm probably closer to the don't give a shit area, but I'm just being honest with you. But
I can respect that.
but but I just want to know like how you kind of feel about Xbox and some of the rumors because these aren't even facts. These are rumors about Xbox having some games go on to other platforms, right? How do you feel about that? But also, what do you think about Xbox and console gaming going further? So, I feel like they've already announced another console for the next generation. But do you think that there's a console from Xbox the generation after that, or do you think that there's a console from anybody the generation after the next? Because it's looking a little wild out there. I mean, even PlayStation is trying to get into different ways to consume their
So
content. But let's
I
keep it
think
on
that
Xbox right now.
Xbox probably has the most unclear future as it pertains to what's coming next. I think it's easier to project. Well, obviously, Nintendo is coming out with another Switch. You can probably surmise that we'll get another hardware from the PlayStation side, but I think that Xbox is probably the least uh easy for us as gamers to project what they're going to do from a console perspective moving forward. Cuz we saw some announcements today that they laid off a whole lot of people,
Yeah.
specifically in the area of physical game development. Um, but I don't think that's unique to Microsoft. I think that's just industry wide. I think we're going to see a whole lot more lean on digital releases. And I can understand that. I mean, if you're somebody that kind of had a more broader scope of what's going on, um, you should have saw this coming. Once music
Yes.
moved to a completely digital
Talk about it.
release
Yes. Thank you.
platform, you had to know that all other media was going to move that way as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yeah, man, it's hard for me to project what Microsoft is doing, because it seems like they're kind of positioning themselves in a way to allow for us as gamers to have a multitude of options to experience what they got going on in their ecosystem. Um, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel less confident as a Xbox Series S owner to say that there's going to be another iteration of this console than I do as a Switch owner and a PlayStation 5 owner. I can
I feel
confidently
that.
say there's going to be another Switch, and I can fairly confidently say there'll be another PlayStation. I don't know that we'll see another Xbox. I think that there's a chance that we do see them migrate over to, you can experience our stuff everywhere. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I kind of look at it in the way of like how Microsoft still has the Surface Pros that they sell. Like they don't need to sell you hardware. They're a software company, right?
Absolutely.
They don't need
Absolutely.
to. They choose to because if they can get you 100% just all on their stuff, who wouldn't want to do that? That's a smart decision, but definitely not a popular decision.
Right. Right. So, and I expect
It's
companies to
good for
make
gamers.
decisions based upon what makes sense for them fiscally. But I think it's important for us as consumers to make sure that, we make decisions based on our dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not happy with the decision that Microsoft is going, then you need to let them know with how you spend your money. You know what I'm saying? Stop buying their stuff. At the end of the day, we are the people that matter. You know what I'm saying? We matter. And that applies to more stuff than folks are willing to realize. So if you want to see more hardware and less of a lean towards software, then stop buying they shit. Trust me. They'll start making more hardware. Trust me, dog. So, but yeah, like I
Yeah,
said, as a
yeah. I'm one
person
of the
who
folks
just
that
is
will.
a gamer, I get it. There's PlayStation shit all over my wall. They've earned the right to be all over my wall. But make no mistake, I love everybody. I play everything. I got over 300 hours invested into Starfield. I couldn't wait to play it. And I know it's
Mm,
not perfect, but I still play the hell out of it. So,
yeah, there ain't a perfect game out here. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, but there ain't there's games I'd much rather play, and there's games I'd say is the closest to perfect. But there is not
right.
a game that I didn't get mad at that I loved.
Oh, absolutely. And matter of fact, while we're on this topic, a game that just recently received a remaster, The Last of Us 2, I wasn't that pleased with the story for the second game. You know what I mean? I thought
That's a
the whole
popular
San
opinion.
Bernardino part of the story was unnecessary. That's just me, but it is what it is. I'm
I
still gonna play
hated
it.
killing the
So,
pregnant
yeah.
chick. I hated that. I really didn't enjoy that part. Like the whole pregnant woman being involved in the first place just made me sick. I
Bro,
was just like,
yo, listen. That whole part of the game felt so forced. Like to me, if you were gonna do a part 3, which I don't think they're gonna do. If they do, it's gonna be dumb. That's just me. But if they do decide to do a part 3, then why not end it when Tommy comes to visit uh Dina and Ellie at their crib and just say, "Hey, I know where old girl is," and just end it there. You know what I'm saying? Then you can make the whole third game about, Ellie tracking down Abby. You know what I mean? I don't know, that's just me. That whole section where she's out in California, I'm like, this is dumb. And me personally, if she would have killed Abby when she was like in like a very like malnourished and degraded form, I wouldn't even have played the third game if they make another one. I wouldn't even have played it because I'm just like, nah, that was dumb. I'm protesting.
right?
I'm not playing it.
Yeah, you wait until this person's this as strong as a wet napkin, and then you kill him.
Facts. She's a shell of her former self. Like, what the
The
hell?
buffest
Like, come
person in
on,
the
man.
game becomes a napkin.
Yeah. Yo, listen, the whole time I'm playing through that part, I'm like, why am I doing this? All of this feels dumb.
No, you're absolutely right because soon after that part, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this for whoever, but the game's been out for a hot
Nah,
minute.
I mean, the game's been out forever. It's whatever.
So, but like when you go back to the house and realize that they left, I did this little post on Twitter where I have not Abby, but I have Ellie looking in the mirror. right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I feel like I put in all this time and the game was phenomenal. The mechanics were dope. A good chunk of the story was fire. Some of it was just like, God damn it, what the fuck? Um, but I know that the game purposely wanted me to feel that way, right? I get
Sure.
that.
Sure.
What I didn't understand was I'm at the end of the game looking in the mirror and I feel like I just played with two separate characters and I accomplished nothing. I accomplished nothing.
Right.
I just
And I get that.
I just got to see the
If
story of
the
two
goal
people
was to
angry
do
with
something
each other.
else.
What's that?
Like I get that the feeling you had, like, God damn, like I played this entire game as two separate characters from two separate perspectives, and I don't feel like I accomplished anything. So if their aim was to do something else beyond The Last of Us 2, that would make sense. I don't think they're gonna do a third game. I really don't.
You don't think they're gonna do a third?
I I don't. I don't.
I mean, I feel like you have to. You have to see what happens with Lev and what happens with Abby. I feel like you have to. You can't
I don't
just
know, man.
leave. Because in my opinion, I feel like they do something with Lev, or else they didn't introduce that character.
I get it, but to me, it would be a little corny. A little corny. So it's like either you end it when she's in the farm and Tommy comes through and was like, "Hey, I know where she's at," or you just kill her in San Bernardino. Most people would hate that, me included, but at least we got closure. But to have her let her go and then try to say, "You know what? I shouldn't have let her go." Like, nah, come on, son. We not about to do this again. I don't
All
know
right.
if I would sign up for that. I'm just being honest.
All right. I just seen somebody in the chat say that they're currently going through it. So I'm gonna let you go through the rest of the fields. We won't bust down the game anymore. Um, I mean, but yeah, it's been out for a minute now. I ain't too mad about talking about it, but yeah, I'll give you that respect, and we'll stop right there, even though we said a ton. uh, but uh, but anyways, so we talked about Xbox and what you kind of think was going on, and how hard they are for you to kind of read where it stands right now because they're kind of making so many moves in a lot of different directions, and they've done, in my opinion, not the best job, but understandably a job that they may feel is necessary to continue to do what they're doing. Um, I say that because personally, I've been going on with this belief that Xbox knows that you guys are talking about them and you guys are uncertain, but they have you listening, so they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. Keep being like keep being the question mark, because if they're the question mark, they're a talking. They're a talking point.
Sure.
So I feel like they're playing into that a little bit personally. But now let's go over lastly to PlayStation. PlayStation, um, they started out the generation pretty good. They're not doing bad, especially console sales wise. They're crushing it, right? They're looking really good, doing better than they were around the same time as the PS4.
Sure.
Um, but they really ended the year. I mean, you can't deny it. They ended the year messy. They ended 2023 messy with leak, with the firings, with the the canceled game. The showcases were kind of I mean, if you love third party, you got what you wanted.
Right.
I mean, if you only love third party, you got what you wanted. But if you were looking for first party, you got what you expected. And it was a little unfortunate. And I mean, but by that I mean like Spider-Man. Like everybody expected Spider-Man.
Sure.
So once we seen it, we were blown away on, man, this game looks good. It looks like a good time and whatnot. But we were looking, we were wondering what's behind the curtain back there, and we didn't really get a taste. So I'm just kind of curious as to how you feel about PlayStation currently, where they stand, where they've done good with your confidence in the future, but also where they're kind of have you head scratching in a few areas.
Yeah, no. So me personally, I still feel very good about the position that they hold and the overall space relative to gaming. Um, I think that I feel like PS3 is where they really took their licks and kind of understood, like, okay, we really messed up here. Um, let's refocus, let's kind of lean into what makes us great, and let's make sure that these experiences that our core gamers are looking for, make sure that we provide those. So I still feel like they are doing that. Um, I don't necessarily have a whole lot of concerns about what they're doing because, like I said, um, I feel like they've kind of leaned into what makes them good. Me personally, I would have loved to have seen what Sucker Punch is working on, whether it's a
Ooh,
new
talk
Ghost
about it.
game or if it's another Infamous game or whatever. Um, but
Uh,
they have like 3 or 4 studios that, are at the top of the heap, regardless of where you place them. And for the most part, all of those studios are producing some really great stuff. But in the same breath, specific like if we look at Naughty Dog, I think there's a lot of decisions that are being made that, like, let's make a safe decision. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what new IP Naughty Dog is working on, but they're like, if we make a remaster of The Last of Us 2, people will buy it because because they made a remaster of The Last of Us 1 and people bought it. You know what I mean? So it's not unique to them. Other studios are doing this as well, because you're seeing this with so many of the closures. I think Microsoft actually announced today on social media that they're closing a division of their department, of their Xbox department, that includes like 1,900 employees. So
right.
it's a very uncomfortable time for gamers and probably more so developers. Um, you can't necessarily afford a game that is budgeted to do this, but it does that. So you can certainly see studios, especially studios that have established themselves as being like expected to do certain things, making safe decisions. So it is what it is. It's the nature of where we are from an economic standpoint, and we'll see what what the residual effects are, man.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like I said, for each of these companies, more or less PlayStation and Xbox, they've got a lot of good things going for both of them. They really both do. Like if
Yeah,
you take away all of the speculation and rumors from both of these companies, there's clearly things to be excited for Xbox. Hell, they just had it in a showcase.
yeah. I
Clearly
was
things
I
to be
was very
excited for
excited
over there.
for Indiana Jones.
Um, as for PlayStation, maybe 2024 isn't their best year, but we already know 2025. Yo, Venom. As soon as they really actually come out and announce that, it's gonna be hot.
Yeah,
We already know. We already know. Wolverine is gonna be hot. We already know Santa Monica's working on a game that's probably
yeah,
gonna be hot, right? We already know that although Naughty Dog had a rough go 2023, that they're still not somebody you want to look past at
right.
all. They did. They had a rough. They had a rough time with something that they're unfamiliar with, so they decided to go back to what's familiar. That happens with all sorts of people. What happens when you put certain running backs to wide receivers? They don't play that great. But then but then you hand them the ball off and you remember why you drafted.
There you go.
So it's just like it's you just have to kind of look at it that way. I mean, you can be negative all you want, but negativity ain't gonna help. Just look at it in the positive light and see, Yeah, they stepped in some shit, but they can still clean off their shoes and keep it pushing.
Right. And I kind of feel like that's why I don't lean any way specifically. That's why I own all three consoles, and that's why I look to all three consoles to provide something unique to their specific ecosystem for me as a gamer to enjoy. I mean, and I think if you had that really broad perspective, you can't necessarily be in a bad space because if you look at it from that perspective, they all do have stuff that's like really popping. They do have all three have stuff that you can really look forward to. So I'm excited for 24. I think that all three have some stuff that you can like you look at it as like, damn, I can't wait to play this. And that's how I'm approaching this year, man. And specifically me, I set a goal for myself because I feel like I've been neglecting my Switch, man. So I'm gonna spend a lot more time with my Switch this year.
Oh,
Sorry, buddy.
I neglected my Switch after Tears of the Kingdom came out, and I played that for a while, and then I put my Switch down. I haven't seen it since. I don't even know what room it's in right now, bro. Like it
Yeah,
is
it's right there and it's looking at me too,
neglected.
like, yo, man, come on, bruh. What we
Yeah, I
doing?
feel that. Oh man. Yeah, I got you. All right. So I want to jump into a different topic completely. And this one is content creation. I want, you know, you to show yourself. Tell everybody, how you actually got into it from the jump. Like I want you to take me back to the time before you even actually did your first stream or showed up on a show or did anything. What actually even brought up the thought of you know going outside and being like, hey, y'all hear me, y'all understand me, this is what I want to talk
Yeah.
about.
So um I've always gotten a lot of good feedback from people about my personality, about my comic relief, um, about my ability as a gamer. So once this whole thing with social media started to kind of proliferate to a point where the individual could sort of really lean into it and leverage that as a means to just kind of get themselves out there and expose themselves. um it's always kind of caught my attention, but I'm not the type of person that wants to be first at something. I want to be correct, when I attack something. So a lot of times, with that type of mindset, it might be a little bit of time before like I get to like for instance, the fact that I got a YouTube channel that's been dormant for like 18 months. Just because like before I start uploading to YouTube, I want to make sure that my content creation is at a certain level that the first impression that I make over there is a great impression. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but yeah, I talked about earlier in this podcast, or this interview that, I don't have the greatest relationship with social media. Um,
Sure.
but when I created my Twitter profile 3 years ago, and I created it with the idea of trying to pursue a PlayStation 5, I kind of got uh, the bug of the hunt for trying to get a PlayStation kind of bit me, and I ended up talking to this person at a store. Like we were both like trying to find one. We showed up there. They ran out. The stock ran out, but they were like, "Hey, I had heard that there's like 3, 4, or 5 people on Twitter and Instagram that you can follow that will tell you when specific stores um re-inventory, and those people will even show you how to create your profile and how to check it out. Like it's a whole thing that they
Right.
do for you as a pursuer of these consoles that that just kind of bit me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, this is fun. So when I finally did secure a PlayStation, um, it was just it was just funny that the algorithms started kind of feeding me Twitter profiles of people that just specifically gamed. And I was like, you know what? This is actually a lot more fun than my previous experiences with social media. So that's kind of how I stayed with Twitter, because anybody who knows me personally will tell you I don't do social media. So if I said that, damn, my I just celebrated my 3-year Twitterversary, like they would have been like, damn, that's crazy, because you usually delete any sort of social media within like 6 months. But because I've like limited my exposure to Twitter to just gaming, to just sharing like virtual photography and clips from the games that I'm playing, or trophies or achievements that I've gotten, it's been a lot more fulfilling experience. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
almost like for some people they wake up and they turn on the news. It's that for
yeah,
how you use Twitter now, and it's like specifically gaming, like not just like
all game.
I'm not just trying to see how your day was. I don't give a shit about you going to the mall and picking you up a slice of pizza and a pair of new shorts. Like no, like nobody cares about that. But
Right.
but hearing Naughty Dog's next game,
Yeah.
like Tom Warren talks about all the sales numbers of the new Switch console that come out, or like it's just like you wake up and you see that stuff and it just like makes you feel like you're kind of around, like I don't know. It makes you kind of feel like you're at the Daily Planet or something like that. It's like, oh man, I'm getting all this information about the things that I need, and I don't need to be on here for personal purposes telling people all this stuff about my life, because I mean that's clearly not what you use social media for. You use it, oh, I need to get the news out. I want to tell you what I'm rocking with game wise, and I'm about
Right. No, specifically, it was pursuing a PS5. But in my pursuit
what it's turned
of
into.
chasing down a
Yeah.
PlayStation 5, like I've connected with some truly authentically dope people, man. So like Broken Lobo,
Other
Shaky Shako,
other
Albifium,
oracles.
Strictly Gaming, uh,
Ooh, strictly dope.
yeah, Strick's my guy. Agent, I think it's 4709, official, Jedi. So it's so many guys that I've connected with throughout my 3 years of being in gaming Twitter, that have made the experience a lot better than I expected. So that's why I've stayed, man, because I've connected with some really truly dope people, and connected like in a real way, not in like a gaming way, not in a Twitter way, like a real way. Like there's people that I've met through gaming Twitter that I check in like as a real person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but yeah, it's been a lot different for me, and really dope for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's literally your hobby, right?
Yeah.
It's literally your hobby, and the importance of how the algorithm worked in this. I mean, usually a lot of us complain about the algorithm, whether it's us seeing content, or us seeing some shit that we ain't trying to see. Oh man, look at this thought over here, trying to like, she got these black things covering up parts. Like I ain't trying to see that bullshit. But but like the good thing is like how it originated, where it's like, yo, I came here for a purpose, and y'all got me like logging in on here looking at news that I never came here before for. But it's
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah, like I said,
Not all of it.
I was completely oblivious to this idea that there were certain sectors of social media. Like I just kind of looked at it as a macro thing. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't necessarily think consider that you can like specialize your engagement in social media to one specific sector. So I was like, "Oh wow, if I can just limit my exposure in this space to just gaming, oh, I'm 1000% on board with that." You know what I'm saying? Um,
Absolutely.
so as I pursued a PlayStation 5, as I started to kind of tweet and retweet and connect with people, um, the idea of maintaining my social media platform as just a gaming platform just came more and more appealing to me. So Yeah. So I just kind of was learning as I went because like I knew streaming existed, but had no idea how you kind of got into it. Um, and like I had no idea that it'd be something that I enjoyed the way that I do now. So, but yeah, man, it's been very rewarding for sure.
Well, perfect. That actually leads me into the next question. That is like, so you clearly already knew about streaming. Streaming has been around for some time by this point. Of you getting Twitter, looking at to getting a PS5 and stuff like that. You're seeing streamers actually like tell you. I mean, I know there's a dude named Cheeto Gaming out there. Jake was out there telling people where to find PS5s and Xboxes and Switches, especially back when the Switch was going through a legal battle, and those things went way up crazy in price. Um, so I specifically want to know what was like the moment that you were like, all right, I am gonna make a place to be able to stream my content, my games, my gameplay, and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you're already into um having a social media presence
Yeah.
a little bit, starting to meet people. As you said, you met people like Strictly and whatnot. Like where and at what time were you like, hey man, I'm actually gonna be coming out soon with something? When did that
Yeah.
idea kind of pop
So
off?
like I said, as I started making these connections on Twitter through gaming, um, I started kind of seeing like, wow, people are posting their virtual photography. Wow, people are posting their gameplay. Wow, people actually stream themselves playing games. Like this is a whole new world to me because, like I said, I hate social media. I really do at my core, but I understand like the relevance of it, the purpose of it. Um, but it was really through like specific connections. Like for instance, Albithium, who is the highest level gamer that I've ever encountered in my entire life. So he was one of the first connections that I made, and I saw he streamed, and he and I had a personal connection, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I think that would be something you'd be great at. Just g- you know, he just kind of encouraged me to get behind the screen, get behind the sticks, and just play and be yourself. You know, so hearing that from somebody who played at the level he played at was encouraging. And then Strictly's another one. Strict was somebody that when I first got into gaming, Twitter had a huge presence. I was actually really surprised when he and I kind of made a one-on-one connection. But he's another one that, over time that, as we developed our relationship, he just kind of encouraged me like, oh, nah, bro, you'll be dope as a streamer. Seriously. And I'll support you 100%. You know what I'm saying? So just the confidence that I've gotten from certain connections that I made over the time that I've spent in gaming Twitter has just kind of encouraged me to get into streaming, and that's kind of why one of the reasons why I do it. Because I'm already playing the games. You know what I'm saying? So it just makes sense to get on screen and share what I'm doing with the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that. Is there any kind of goal that you have, or is this strictly just something that you're just doing to kind of pass the time?
No specific goal. The reward for me is chatting with the people. That is the most fun. Um, when I like for instance, the game that I'm playing right now, Bramble on Twitter, it was a recommendation from people that watch my Liza P streams. They were like, hey, by the way, if you want to do something after this, I recommend you doing this. And that's what I'm doing, because it was recommended to me. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna enjoy this hobby regardless of what I'm playing. You know what I'm saying? But to be able to share that experience with people and it's just an extra added benefit that I'd never ever considered. You know what I mean? So it's been incredibly rewarding, man, for sure.
No doubt. That's what's up. That's what's up. You've listed off a few people that really meant a lot to you getting into gaming. So I'll skip past that part, but I want to know, like, what was it like telling friends and family, "Hey, I'm getting into, thinking about doing this stuff," or is it something that you just kind of do? You don't really tell anybody about. You just kind of do it
No,
when you got time.
I'm very private, very personal. I keep to
Okay.
myself. So when I started streaming, and like the first time somebody would like notice me, they were like, "Hey, was that you on blah 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 XYZ?" I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that was me." Um, so that's kind of how it is with me. That's kind of how it's going to be. Like I'm not broadcasting to anybody that I'm streaming. I do say it on my Twitter page, obviously, to people who follow me. Like, hey, if you want to, have a different type of connection with me, come on over here to Twitch. I'm doing this. So but no specific goal. I do it just because I love playing video games and I love chopping it up with people, man. You know what I mean? So whatever it evolves into is just icing on the cake for sure.
No doubt. Um, if you had an opportunity to be like a regular on like any podcast and stuff like that, is anything like that in your thought process for future, or do you literally just like, yo, I like where I'm at? I'm not doing this like for me or for anybody else. I'm just like literally asking you, like, how deep do you see yourself kind of going through this rabbit hole of making content? Are you very
Oh, absolutely.
comfortable where you're
So
at, or would you want to grow?
oh no, I definitely want to grow. So, I pay attention to what's going on with my Twitch page and I get great feedback. So at this point, it's a matter of exposure. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So the more people, the more eyes that I get on my page, the more people that actually kind of see me in my element, the more that I know people are going to connect with me on that way and just kind of, tap in when I go live and just go through that experience with me. Um, but yeah, no, I'm there is a plan for a podcast as well. Myself and my cousin, shout out to my boy Clay. I don't know if he's watching this live. He's definitely gonna watch this after the fact. But he and I are working on a podcast. Um, we don't necessarily have a schedule nailed down, but we are at the point now where we're ready to record and start posting on right now on my YouTube page. But eventually I think we are going to get to a point where we have a joint, podcast specific YouTube page. And that's where we'll start dumping all of our recordings on. But yeah, it's gonna be right now. It's just gonna be a monthly pod. Something that we connect once a month on. Probably record for about an hour. He and I have amazing banter. So people who tap into and enjoy my streams will 100% enjoy the pod that he and I are cooking up. And yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. But at the end of the day, like I said, we're doing it because we just love to chop it up, love to talk about the hobby that we enjoy. And whatever comes of it is just icing on the cake, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely make sure that you broadcast that, and I don't know, like, definitely shoot me a DM or something so I can come check out your guys' first episode and see what that's all about and whatnot.
Absolutely. I
Um,
got you, brother.
Seeing that it's a monthly thing, it sounds like you guys are just kind of trying to try it out, slowly roll it out, and see kind of how you feel
Sure. Yeah, we
after a few
definitely
episodes.
slow rolling it at first. Because like I said, I am also streaming. Right now the goal is streaming 3 times a week, so I don't want to take on too much. So right now it's just gonna be a monthly pod and whatever sort of comes of that, we'll deal with it accordingly.
Well, definitely hit me up if you guys ever want a guest or something like that. I'm down to come over there and give you guys a different perspective because
Sure.
I mean I know we all enjoy the same platforms and stuff like that, but we definitely all look at things a little bit differently. So um, definitely hit me up if you're ever trying to do something like that. That'd be cool. I'd be more than willing. But anyways, getting back to the topic at hand, I just wanted to kind of go over some quick hitter questions before we get on ahead up out of here. But this has been a phenomenal episode. Thank you so much again, Pharaoh J, for coming over here, spitting your bars, letting me know, your history, how you got into gaming. Some of it very telling as to what shaped you into being who you are today. But going a little bit further into getting to know who you are, I need to know as well what were the best 3 games Pharaoh J actually played in the past year. Either they came out this past year or not, because I understand, like many of us, we got backlogs. And sometimes you don't get to a game for a few years, few months, sometimes even a couple decades. Um, let me know what were the top 3 games that you are proud to say that you played in the last 365.
Yeah, yeah. So two of the games are actually games that came out last year, and I'm actually proud of myself because part of the thing that um, has happened as I've become more and more integrated into gaming Twitter is I see that I'm playing more games along with the community. So 3 games that I played last year, 2 of which are games that are actually games that came out last year that were phenomenal. Um, Final Fantasy 16, Spider-Man 2, and Forspoken. Those are 3 games that I played last year that I completed last year. One of those I got the platinum for. 2 of those I'm actually still working towards the platinum for, but all 3 of those games are games that I finished in 23 and I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yo, people sleep on Forspoken.
Yes. If
I'm gonna
you're
tell you
listening
that
to this
right now.
pod, go play Forspoken.
Um, it's not in my opinion, it's not like the greatest game, but like it's like it's pretty deep if you can get past the like some of the corniness of it. Like there's clearly some corniness to it a little bit in the sense of like the cuff and the conversations that they kind of have with it and whatnot, but like the actual gameplay, if you're talking about playing games, right, if you just like playing games, it's in my opinion it's kind of a gamer's game. It's
Sure.
very it's very much like get in there, get your hands dirty. Some of these fights is gonna have you sweating.
Yeah.
I remember I went versus that like a lady, is a like a fire lady in like near like some like
Yeah, I can't
volcano
remember
or something like
homegirl's
that.
name, but yeah, I know you talking
Y-
about.
yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And like she's like you pretty much have to stay off the ground pretty much the whole fight because she is
Yeah.
just lighting up the floor. And
Yep.
like I really enjoyed like all the flipping and jumping and throwing the different things and switching to different weapons and whatnot. I clowned on the game a little bit when it first came out because I thought that demo was a little uh, but actually when I got into the actual like fighting and some of the big bad bosses, and I took some heavy L's versus bosses I thought I could fight, but I really wasn't ready for. Some of them fights, when you force yourself to do it, not even kidding, it'll take you like an hour, hour and a half to beat the boss.
Bruh.
But like if
So
you actually wait until you're actually that level, then it's not that bad.
yeah.
But I learned
No,
the hard.
the thing that really kinda blew me away right away was the traversal.
Mm,
Um, so wide open world, and the way she traverses that environment is a sight to behold, man. It's a sight to experience. So, um, yeah, there's some corny dialogue that you gotta kinda like get used to, but if you can kinda kind of get used to that and just focus on the game and the gameplay, it is definitely one of the best experiences to be had as a gamer right now. So I can't endorse that game enough. Go play Forspoken, bro. It is worth your time.
It's a good game. I like I clowned on it a little bit when it first came out, but it is definitely a game that I've been happy that I got my hands on. Another game that you mentioned that I'm happy that I got to try out, even though I'm not a fan of this IP that much. And I know you're gonna be like, come on, bruh. But like Final Fantasy 16, I'm not a big fan of Final Fantasy, but that game is pretty hot. I can't lie. Like like just the way that you fight, the different things that you can pull out. There's definitely a lot of cutscenes in the game for real. But but the actual fights, the boss fights, they feel good. When you stagger the opponent, it feels good just laying out everything you got on them. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like games like that. It gave me the feeling that Scarlet Nexus gave, where it's like I stagger you, I release all the hounds. Like right now, I'm holding this button. I'm hitting square, triangle, circle, and X. And if there's a fifth, I'm hitting that one too.
Yeah.
It's really fun in the aspect of just whooping the sucker's ass. And some of those cutscenes with the QTEs are pretty damn
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another game I recommend, even though I'm traditionally not into uh Final Fantasy games. I like if you like just whooping a motherfucker's ass, that's a good game.
Yeah. The story was the standout for me. I didn't necessarily like a lot of the side quests. You know what I'm saying? Like they relegated my guy Clive to like delivering plates to people, like
Yeah, this
taking
man putting
food. I'm
food
like,
on
come on, bro,
tables and
this is
shit.
Clive. You know what I'm saying? Um,
He's serving up shit like he a
but
waiter
if you
and
can get through some of those side quests and like stick to and lock in on the main story, then it is an incredibly rewarding experience that I recommend that everybody who loves narrative based games to give a shot. So yeah, I enjoyed it, even though towards the end it got to a point where I was like, "Where's the chase and how do I cut to it?" Because I'm over this.
sure. And you ain't lying about them side missions. Like you feel like a UPS driver sometimes. Here's your wood, sir. Oh, would you like some food? I got you. Like
Right.
those side missions, I was like, what the fuck is what even is this? And yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the story itself, um, it like I haven't finished the game. I'm still going quite a bit. Like I just beat that woman that transformed after you like you take her power and whatnot, and then she transforms. And do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know
Yeah,
the
I
names
think
of
I know
any
who
of
you
these.
talking about. I can't remember homegirl's name, but if the joint with the wind power.
Yeah, yeah. She's the one that was like sleeping with old boy.
Oh yeah, you still got a ways to go. Oh man,
Yeah. Like I said, I
you're
still got.
still
Yeah,
like
I've
in
only
like
got like two or three. I think I got
chapter.
3 powers right now, and they said that I think there's like
Yeah,
8 or something like that.
yeah, you got a ways to go. So there's a lot better experiences beyond that. So I encourage you to keep going.
I'm gonna keep going. That's Uh, this is a fun game to play. My boy hooked, caught that game, and I just so happened to share with him. He's a huge Final Fantasy fan, so I mean that's why I have the game. Because like I said, I'm not big into Final Fantasy, but my boy that I game share with got the game, and he's like, "Come on, man, just give it a try. I think you'll like it. This is more your speed. It's not turn based or anything like that." And
Yeah,
yo, I actually got more into turn based thanks to Persona. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm
I've
opening
always
my
had
eyes
an
more and
affinity
more
for
and more
turn
as
based.
time
I
goes
will
on.
never not love turn based fighting games or RPGs.
Man, I hated it for the longest time, and and more or less, I only liked like Stick of Truth and Fractured But Whole. Those were like the turn-based games that I was willing to play because it's familiar, it was funny. But then once somebody told me, yo, like Persona 5 is like one of the best turn-based games of all time, you have to try it.
Yeah.
I gave it a try, man, and
No
I
cap,
ended up
by the
putting
way.
in like
No cap.
I put in like I want to say like at a minimum of 150 hours into
Yeah, that sounds
Persona.
about right. That sounds about right.
Yeah. I went through. I took out Maruki, all of those suckers. Yeah, they cooked. They got
Yeah, I
cooked.
still haven't finished Persona 5 because the backlog is just ignorant at this point. But yeah, I'll get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep it pushing though. So you mentioned the top 3 games that you had played. I'm also now wondering, and this should be a good one because you have you have a lot of love for JRPGs and whatnot. So I'm expecting to hear something along the lines of that. But what is your favorite studio? And what game best represents that studio?
Oof. That's a tough one. Because if I'm being honest with myself, I've always had an affinity for like fairly lengthy uh campaign games, single player games. So with that said, just given the studios that I know here recently have created some very special single player narratives. So Ghost of Tsushima, so Sucker Punch, um, Insomniac, I would give them a nod. Naughty Dog with Last of Us and Uncharted, Rockstar with the GTA games, even though there's a multiplayer element associated there. Um, so because I have such a love for single player stuff, I have to give a nod to those studios for sure.
But if you were to pick one, who is the one that you rely on?
Oh man, probably Naughty Dog. Probably Naughty Dog, but hopefully you can hear me because my
Yeah, I can hear
mic
you
is
fine.
like
You're good.
cutting in and out. But
I can hear you tapping it. All of it. You're
oh,
good.
all right, good. I would probably say Naughty Dog because oh man, that's tough. Because but Ghost is such a good like Ghost to me is damn near perfect. Um
Fair enough.
so it's hard to not say Sucker Punch, and I really liked the Infamous games.
Okay. Sucker Punch
So
still.
ugh, I'm gonna say Sucker Punch. That's probably my favorite
Okay.
studio. I'll say Sucker Punch.
And what's the best game from them to you? Ghost?
Ghost of Tsushima. Best
Okay.
game.
All right. All right, cool. On to the next question. We only have a few more left before we're gonna get up out of here. But the next one is what game in the future or games, plural, are you really excited for? Like you just whoo when you get that controller in your hands. You just
Yeah.
can't wait to tear into.
So I've got 4 listed here. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Uh I guess it's called Yuden Chronicles, 100
Oh,
Heroes.
Uden Chronicles?
Yeah, so the spiritual successor to the Suikoden games. I cannot wait to play that.
Okay.
Uh Whenever Stellar Blade comes out, I don't know when it's coming out,
Trying to get the
but I
hands. All
can't wait to
right.
play that. And Star Wars Outlaw. Very much looking
Ooh,
forward to that.
Ubisoft. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I mean that game does look pretty hot, right? It looks really pretty vast. I'm wondering how Ubisoft is going to take care of this one.
I mean,
Because
the preview looked great. So, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you've played the recent Avatar game that came out, but apparently Star Wars is going to be nothing like that in the sense of like so broad, because I feel like the newest Avatar game, which I've played some of, and it's a fun game, but it feels kind of broad and empty sometimes. And this one's supposed to be more like specific as to where to go, what to do, and stuff like that. So I'm definitely intrigued on what Ubisoft has cooking with Outlaws.
Yeah, no,
Mm,
like I said, what I've seen so far, it looks very, very well done, and I'm trusting the studios. I think that they're going to handle it very well, and I'm looking forward to it.
I wonder if they're going to reach into the RPG elements of that of that game kind of deeply at all, because it seemed like you can make choices when I was
Yeah, it
watching the
definitely did.
yeah.
I think that it would be a mistake not to, because I feel like, you know, people are probably going to, whether that's good or not, associate this with the oh my god, the two recent ones, Fallen Order
Starfield.
and the one that just
Oh,
recently
okay. No,
came
you're
out.
talking about Star Wars. Okay.
What's the name of it?
You're talking about Jedi Survivor and um are you talking about
Well,
Fallen Order as well?
Fallen Order, yeah. So those had like an RPG sort of lean to them. I think that people really enjoyed those games, and I think that it'd be a little bit of a mistake to deviate too far from that, from a sort of like uh you know RPG standpoint. So I kind of feel like you'll see some of that stuff associated with the Outlaw game.
Yeah, it might be on the level of like was it Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like
Yeah,
not
yeah, I could see
really an
that.
RPG game, but it gives you choices to make it feel like your outcome could be totally drastically different, but really it's just a slight shift. It's not like a Skyrim shift or
Right. No,
anything like
I
that.
totally agree. Totally agree.
Gotcha. All right, so those are definitely some pretty hot games, and those are recent games that you mentioned. You didn't mention anything years out in development, so that's good for you, right? Soon is
Yeah.
better. But as we continue through, um, this is the last fun, like crazy fun question that I like to ask everybody, and that for you is what two games that are completely dead IPs would you revive and give
You said
a
2
new
games
fresh?
that I would revive?
Yeah, like they don't even have to be like side scrollers like they were before or something like that. Just something that you would like to see an IP come back, like we were talking about Road Rash earlier,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe something like that. So they don't have to look exactly the way that they did before, but something that you just want to see be revived so the IP is still alive and looks good, got a AAA budget, all this stuff. What two games you thinking of?
Yeah, no, so, fairly easy answers for me. 2 of my favorite experiences from the PlayStation 1, Xenogears is one of the RPGs that completely blew my mind. Um, from what I understand, the studio ran out of budget, and they had to cut corners on the second disc, and you can tell, because the way that the story is told on disc 1 is completely different than what the story is told on disc 2. So I would have loved to see a full budget allocated towards telling the Xenogears story the way it was meant to be told. Um, and I would love to see a remake of Mega Man Legends, man. I really loved Mega Man Legends on the PS1. Um, and it's just kind of like a dormant sort of IP. And man, if we could get another Mega Man Legends, I would be really excited about that personally.
Man, you did some reaching. Those two, brother. Golly. Those are some two games I haven't heard be uttered here before. So I love to hear when people have different thoughts and opinions on what they want to see be renewed. And this time is better than any when it comes to remasters and remakes. It seems like, I mean, they're talking about making a whole category for it just at the Game Awards, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm not mad at it.
I'm 100% not against it at all. I just wanna remind these studios that we still want new games.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, like I said, not mad at it at all.
Yeah, nobody wants a third version of Full House or Family Matters or I mean, it's dope seeing the new thing that they're doing with Fresh Prince and whatnot, right? But it's just like you could make something new and have it just take off. Like to me, some of the remakes and remasters and stuff like that is like the equivalent to like what the MCU and Marvel's doing with, oh, let's make they're a black Captain America now. And it's just like, man, how about you give me Static Shock?
Right.
Or how
No,
about you
I hear
make a
you,
new
bro.
character?
I hear
Like
you.
when Hancock came out, I thought that was gonna be a whole thing, and they just stopped at the one movie, and I was like, ah, damn, man, they could have made a whole thing with that and had a new black superhero that came out of the gutter, and he wasn't from a hood, he was just a drunk. He was just a drunk. So like
Yeah.
like a lot of people can relate to that. Man, I thought that that was such a misstep to not continue on that IP, but yeah,
Yeah, it's hard
that's
to
what I like to see.
understand what the overall sort of idea for that specific IP was. Um, I mean, phenomenal actor, by the way. Phenomenal actors, plural. Um,
Yeah, the whole
but
movie was
Will
hot.
Smith specifically, in his prime, was like, why waste his time and waste our time? Like, if you weren't going to continue this, then why did we do this in the first place? So
Mhm.
I don't know, but I get
It,
what you're
it,
saying.
it- yeah, man. For me at the time, it was just so refreshing seeing a new black superhero that didn't, it wasn't like super stereotypical. He had his own like demons that he was dealing with,
Yeah,
and like
I didn't mind it.
it was just very refreshing.
Yeah, I know people have their opinions about that movie, but I mean, I've watched it more than once, so for me, it wasn't that bad.
No, in fact, it was short. I felt like it was too short.
Yeah,
I like they really rushed the part where they got back together and shit like that. I was like, oh damn, man. Y'all rushed the hell out of that and made it look a little messy towards the end, but the rest of the movie
right.
was hot. But anyways, getting back to what we were talking about, I got two questions left for you, and I like to smash them together like a bird. All right.
Yeah.
Um, the first one's negative, and the second one's positive because I don't like leaving on a negative note.
Yep.
But it's not insane negative. It's not nothing insane. It's what frustrates you about gaming. That's the question. That's the first one. The second one is what would be a dream come true. So I want you to answer the negative one first and get that knocked out. What to you, Pharaoh, is just like this cloudy part of gaming that just fucking stinks and you don't like
Yeah, so I wish that there was more people that just kind of embraced the culture, from a macro perspective. I feel like a lot of us pick sides. A lot of us like say, I'm an Xbox guy and I'm standing on this hill and I'm throwing rocks at any and everybody that says something negative about what's going on over here, regardless. And I see the same stuff from PlayStation people. And I would love to see a lot more people just embrace the culture overall. We all play games. It don't matter where you play them. Just play them, enjoy them. Don't shit on something that's going on over here. Don't shit on something that's going on over there. You know, just love the art. Embrace the art, enjoy the art. Talk about the things that you really appreciate about this hobby that we all enjoy, and like let's just see more of that. I didn't necessarily uh prepare for or um know that there was going to be as much mudslinging as I see in the community. Um, when I first joined gaming Twitter. So I would love to see a lot more just embracing of the art overall and just appreciation for it as opposed to a lot of negative bullshit that we see.
Uh, a kind of a side question here, and this is no disrespect to Naughty Dog or anything like that, but I gotta ask you what your feeling is when you see kind of the dev on dev hate, right? Because I mean,
I think that's just a byproduct of
hold
what's
on real
going
quick.
on in a community overall.
Hold on real quick. Hold
Um,
on real quick.
I
Hold on
think,
real quick.
you those guys, they press buttons like we press buttons. You know what I'm saying? And I feel
Sure.
like if we as the receivers of the art would be a lot more sort of appreciating of just the culture overall. I feel like guys that were more in the trenches and guys that were, creating the art, creating these experiences for us, I think there would be less, you know, dart throwing or whatever from them as well. So, to some respects, I think they take their cues
Saying
from
it's like
us. You
perpetuated
know
a
what I'm
little
saying?
bit.
Because at the end of the day, they are us. They just happen to work in the industry. So, if we were more sort of appreciating of the art overall, then I think you would see a little bit more unity there. So that's just my perspective.
Okay, so you're saying some of it seems a little perpetuated.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. What I was kind of getting towards by saying that, and the reason I said kind of like no disrespect to Naughty Dog or whatnot, is just for the fact that what like one of the visual artists said about like Pal Worlds recently, and how he's just like they cheated making this game and stuff like that. And I'm kind of interested in what your kind of thoughts are when we know that there's new technology out with AI and stuff like that. Is
Right.
it bad to use something that's available?
N- I'm not against AI. So my logo with the guy shushing, that's an AI generated image. I tried to connect with an artist to make that image, but the guy that I use, and I don't like using multiple artists, was just not available. So I leveraged the tool that was available at my disposal and I created that image. So I'm not opposed to it. Um, I wouldn't necessarily call it cheating. I mean, because that's just something that we overall just kind of got to embrace. It's going to become more and more integrated into our everyday lives as we progress through life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all use Siri, we all use Google Assist or Alexa. Uh, I don't know if you heard her, but she just heard me. um, so I just feel like that's just something, we got to embrace, man. And it's becoming more and more integrated into our everyday lives. You know what I mean? So, um, I'm not fully against it. At the end of the day, the image that I created for myself that you see on all of my stuff, I do hopefully hope to get with an artist to make something more specific to me. But what I currently have is something that AI made for me, and it is what it is.
Mm. Yeah, it's to work for your benefit, right? So why
Yeah,
not take advantage of it? Why not take advantage of it?
absolutely.
All right, and then the last question here: what would be a dream come true for Pharaoh J? And you can be selfish on this.
Oh no, listen, I'm not an inwardly focused person. Never. Yeah,
Okay.
anybody who knows me knows that I'm more focused on what's going on outside of me specifically. So I would love to see more people like you in the community. You seem to be somebody that is more of a Xbox lean, but that doesn't uh impact the people you reach out to. You reach out to everybody. You know what I'm saying? You try to connect with everybody, and you're the type of person to me that is about bridging gaps, that is about exposure. You know what I'm saying? Just a lover of the culture overall. So you may love Xbox, but that doesn't drive how you interact with people. You know what I'm saying? And I would
Oh,
love
no,
to
not
see
at all.
more
I've been called a
people
pony
in
several
this
times.
gaming community that we all love, that we all embrace, that we all enjoy, just have more of an approach like you do and just love the culture. Yeah, I love Xbox, but I'm gonna talk to Bari, who's a huge PlayStation lean. You know what I'm saying? And see what has driven, his love for gaming, or Strick, who at the time was a huge PlayStation lean,
Sure, yeah.
and what drives his love
That
for
boy on
gaming.
that
You know what
piece
I'm saying?
hard
Or
now, boy.
King David. You talk to him too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's very, very heavy Xbox. So the fact that you use your channel to just uplift the culture, I would love to see more people just use their platforms for that type of stuff, man, and not necessarily get into the weeds and pick a side and just start throwing mud at the other side. Like, that's dumb, man. Let's just enjoy these games, man. You know what I'm saying?
I love hearing that, brother. I really appreciate you saying that. Those are some kind words. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and, saying spit your bars. Like I said, talking about yourself and how you got into gaming, particularly what drives you to continue to get into gaming, the community that you enjoyed, and some spots that you don't find to be particularly dope, but you somehow seem to understand that some things aren't exactly for you. It just
Yeah.
kind of just is what it is. But anyways, brother, thank you so much for being here. One last time, I want you to go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you. I'm gonna throw it up on here on the screen so people can see it for themselves, just like last time. Go on ahead, brother.
Yeah. So before I get into that, man, I just want to say thank you to you for extending the offer to me, to be a part of what you got going over here, to be on your show, to share me with your audience, because you didn't have to do that, So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to speak to you, to share
Absolutely.
myself with some of the folks in the community, and to just let folks know what the things that sort of drive my passion to press these buttons like I do. But like I said early on in the interview, I'm on Twitch and I'm on X. Those are the two places that you find me. You'll find me with the same tag, PharoahJayPlays. I just play games and I mind my business, just like my bio says. I love everybody. Um, so it's all about vibes. You all about having a good time. You all about good conversation. Come holler at me, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all about just enjoying the games. With me. So
100%, 100%. And like I said earlier, it's my pleasure having you here. I'd love to get you on our panel show that we do every Friday if you ever have time for it. It's usually at 4 o'clock Eastern. Um, but if you ever have a moment to spare to do something like that, that'd be absolutely appreciated. Have you on there, spit your bars, say what you got to say. Local will ask you a few questions about your background, like you had today with me. So yeah, definitely would hope to get you on there in the future, especially when a big game drops that you're looking forward to. So with Final Fantasy coming out, I might have to hit you up here soon and see if that's a possibility to get you on, just so you can
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about that
absolutely.
piece.
And one other person I want to mention too, man. Shout out to Ash and Luca.
Mm.
She's the first person that ever had me on their podcast to be a part of a panel to kind of get my shit off, to get some exposure and just connect with her audience. So shout out to Luca as well. Luca, you know what it is. Big love to you. I don't know if you're even gonna see this, but if you do, just know that I shouted you out and I got mad love for you for forever. So shout out to Luca.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I love to hear those kind of shout outs and stuff like that. All love, all love. But anyways, brother, the last thing I'm gonna have you do real quick before we get up out of here is describe gaming to me in just 3 words.
Oh man. Damn. For me specifically, it's been an escape. So I would say escape from reality because
Dang. You put it
the
right
world is
together. I love it.
scary. The world
I
is
love
is
it.
crazy. So the opportunity to disconnect from that and to delve into this world where I am in complete control has just been a blessing to me, because I came up around a lot of foulness, a lot of dysfunction and craziness. So, having the ability to pick up this controller, or some other controller and just completely lock into what's going on there and forget my world has just been a blessing. So, escape from reality would be the 3 words that I would use.
I love it. I love it. I love it when I ask somebody 3 word to do the 3 words and they put them to run together like that, nice and smooth. Escape from reality. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Pharaoh J. Thank you so much, Ray Chi, and those of you in the chat. Cosmo Trology was here just a little while ago. Shout out to the bro. Appreciate you guys being here, showing up for the show this evening. This is your boy Ham Solo from TSWS Gaming, letting you know to keep it gaming or keep it moving. You guys hit that subscribe button if you can. Share this out. Let other people know that we had a phenomenal show this evening. The more people can check out Pharaoh J. Go check him out on his Twitch and Twitter if you guys want to keep up with everything that he does. He just got done saying that he does stream 3 times a week, correct?
3 times a week, baby. Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday on Twitch. Come holler at me.
Absolutely. And then also keep a lookout for his podcast that will be coming sometime down the line with you and your cousin.
Yes. The name of the pod is Press Play with Pharaoh J and Clay. We'll be streaming 1 time a month, but if y'all mess with us, then we'll up that. But yeah, we're gonna start with 1 episode a month. But yeah, be on the lookout for that as well.
Yep. Shout out to Miss K's TV showing up saying great show. Fire. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the evening. Also have a wonderful weekend. And as I just got done telling you, this is your boy Ham Solo signing off from TSWS Gaming behind them sticks today, letting you know to keep it gaming or keep it moving. Peace out, y'all.